Hey guys and welcome back to my channel. This is part 3 of What If Naruto Was the Chakra Sage. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also go and support the author, link in description. Konohagakure Village Council, 4 days after zombie mission. All the civilian councils were not happy. Why is this? It's because Naruto Uzumaki was sitting in the room as a shinobi clan head. When they tell him to get out, he replies with something somewhat obvious. I have no wish to be here myself. The only reason I am, is because I was asked to by the Hokage himself. So please be quiet about it. It was at that point the Hyuga clan head came in. Hiashi Hyuga sat down at his usual spot, which just so happened to be right next to Naruto. The Hokage came in right after Hiashi sat down. Now that everyone is here, minus the elders, we can begin. Lord Hokage, that thing cannot be in here. One of the civilian councils shouted. I already told you that I wouldn't be here if I had the choice. Naruto told him, if I were you, then I'd shut my mouth, before I said something to get myself executed. The Nara clan head, Shikaku Nara, looked at Naruto. Lord Hokage, I'm afraid that I'm stumped as to his presence as well. Would you care to enlighten us? That happens to be the first topic on the agenda. I have kept it secret for far too long. The heritage of one Naruto Uzumaki. Sarutobi stated. The Hyuga clan is already in the know. A few subtle hints from both him and his fiancée are the only reason. They were never called by name, and as such, no one broke any laws. Hiashi stated. What are you talking about, Hiashi? Inoichi asked. You're the mind reader. You figure it out, Hiashi replied. I'm afraid that, for some reason, I can't. Inoichi stated. As I try, it just blocks me out. I believe the new seal works, Lord Hiashi. Naruto stated. That it does, Naruto. Hiashi stated. I am extremely thankful for what you've done for our clan. I was only doing something that my fiancé had asked me to help out with. You already know that. Hiashi nodded in agreement. The civilian councilors were frowning at this, aside from Tsuki Ichiraku. Naruto, is this what you've been doing these days? I am sorry, Tsuki, but no. This happened a little over a month ago. Engagement, along with a seal of the old Uzumaki clan's origin. Also, note that I could easily kill off anyone with a caged bird seal myself, if I wanted to. Anyone with good enough knowledge of seals, and the proper knowledge of the seal itself, can activate it. It's the same with all seals. Both my parents knew this, and they just so happened to have the full specifics on the caged bird seal in their old cottage. Lord Hokage, if we can continue. Shuza Akamichi looked at Naruto. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you were related to the Yondaime himself. The civilian council, on cue, shouted out how impossible it was. That was when a strong presence shut them up. And here I was trying to be nice to the ones that made my life hell. Naruto stated, causing them all to look at him. Shuza Akamichi, correct. Shuza nodded. You are correct. I am related to him. I'm his son. They all looked at him in horror. I have the documents to prove it, as well as a picture of him when he had just graduated from the academy. Lord Hokage, did you bring the picture from my graduation? That I did, Naruto. Sarutobi took out a folder, and passed a picture from it around. Naruto also took this moment to hand him the photo. Compare the two pictures. We are both 12 in those pictures. If you notice, the only difference happens to be the whisker marks on my face, which happens to be a birthmark. Naruto stated calmly. However, I am not here to represent the Namikaze clan. I was asked to come so I can represent the old Uzumaki clan. Of which, my mother was a part of. Lord Hokage, the birth certificate. He pulled out a folder himself, and tossed it towards the Hokage, who caught it. This happens to be the original copy of it. Sarutobi looked at Naruto. Where did you manage to find it? The estate I've been staying at. That's the exact same one my fiancé had looked at. Naruto stated. As you can tell, the document happens to be old, and I made a copy in case someone decides to get rid of it. The hospital doesn't have records of me, except for when I was in there after I was born. None of my birth records are there, as they were placed in the estate long ago. Sarutobi stated. These documents are completely real. Take a good look at it, and you will find just what you have done. He passed around the birth certificate, and everyone was either disgusted, shocked, or flat out surprised. Hiashi and Tsuki were the only exceptions. Hiashi because he was informed, Tsuki because he figured that's who they were. Are you aware of the consequences of your actions regarding the heir to not one, but two nearly wiped out clans? Naruto stated. I have gone over every law passed since the creation of this village. I have each and every piece memorized. I am also aware of the Clan Restoration Act, which I would fall under. I will tell you right here and now, it will not happen without restrictions. That is not possible, Shibi Aburame stated. Quite the opposite, actually. Naruto stated. I said I have read up on any and all laws passed since the creation of this village. That means the CRA as well. During the Nadime's reign, there was a small piece added to it. Lord Hokage, second page of the packet in the folder. I took the liberty of highlighting it. It clearly states that, if the male in question requests it, then they can provide circumstances for acceptance. I have the option to either take it or not, and if I do, then I can name my conditions for it if I wish. He's right. It is there, Sarutobi stated, before passing it around. The counselors, civilian and shinobi, were surprised at how he got a hold of that kind of knowledge, bar Hiyashi. He was completely in the know of what Naruto has been doing. What will it take to put you in the CRA, young Naruto? Shikaku asked. The way anyone else goes under it is not the way I would prefer it. That practically sells political power, which no one truly needs. As such, the first condition is the ones I marry will only marry me because of their own choice, not because they were coerced, forced, or asked to. Second, they must love me for me, and not what my parents had, or the name. There will be a total of 3 that will be able to determine this. As such, I would have the right to refuse someone that asks. The Haruno representative glared at him. You will not refuse my daughter. Unfortunately for Sakura, Ms. Haruno, she's already taken. I've been overseeing her relationship with someone else. As such, she is not on the list of candidates. At this point, there are only 2 possibilities, and they already have confirmation. One is not of this village, either. Naruto stated. Sakura Haruno is currently in a relationship with Sasuke Uchiha, and I have been watching over it at Sasuke's request. I have been aware of it from the beginning, as well. She has started becoming a true kunoichi, as he wanted. Wait, that's why she's been coming home sweaty these days. How are you in the know of this? Any hatred of Naruto was gone in that statement. There was only curiosity in it, and that confused the other civilian counselors. The only reason the relationship started was because of a bet while we were in the ninja academy. I won the bet, and it turned up more results than I had anticipated. The result was Sasuke giving her advice on how to score a date with him. I am not allowed to share that information, and she would not reveal it herself. She has not stopped improving herself since. As of 6 days ago, I have stopped watching over her, as I believe it to be unnecessary. I can only stated too that he would be somewhat interested in at our age, and one of them is taken already. Ino Yamanaka, I am sorry Inoichi, does not meet the requirements Sasuke himself laid out. She is still classified as a fangirl in his eyes. Naruto explained. I could go on, but I wouldn't want to bore you with the details. On to the next reason for this meeting. Sarutobi stated, gaining everyone's attention. It appears as though we have a very big threat approaching in the future. I am not sure of the specifics myself. It is another reason Naruto Uzumaki has been asked to attend. I do not have the specifics myself, but I can bring someone who does. In fact, I have told you all that I know at the moment, Lord Hokage. Naruto stated, I would need to bring in a summon for this. Nothing too big, Sarutobi stated. Naruto went through a few hand signs. Summoning jutsu. A small phoenix appeared. Naruto, why did you summon me, and not Khan? The phoenix asked. Unfortunately, Khan is a little too big for the purposes here, Kobe. The information we have received from the Tanuki is the reason I summoned at all. Naruto told him. I understand. Thankfully, everyone in the alliance is in the know about it. The dragon summoner should have the full details, though. Why don't you ask him? In case you didn't notice, he is not here at the moment. Naruto pointed out, causing the phoenix to look around. Point taken. You can summon a phoenix? Shibi asked, showing the slightest amount of surprise. Would it be so much of a surprise if I told you the Phoenix clan has stuck with the Namikaze clan in their blood? It was signed 4 generations before me, and it passed down to my father, who told them about me. I had only learned of them right after I had graduated from the academy. There are a select few summoning contracts that function in that manner. The Phoenix, Dragon, and Kitsune happen to be 3 of them. Kitsune contract? Shikaku asked. Who would dare sign it? I believe a better question is, where is it? Shibi asked. The Kitsune contract is unique, even among the heritage summons, as they are called. It is the only summoning contract that can be signed in a mindscape. In fact, that's where I signed it, along with one Hinata Hyuga. Kobe, if you would. Gladly. Kobe took that moment to explain what was going on with Sunagaku. We have received this information from the Jinchuriki and Sunagaku, however, it is not Sunagaku that is the original planner for this attack. The Mount Myoboku toads have done a little research, and found something out about a new village to the northwest. Otogaku is the one to propose the attack, and we have found out the leader of the village. It just so happens to be a rogue ninja from this village. S-class rogue, Orochimaru of the Sannin. For this reason, we can expect something else to happen before he attacks. Where did you acquire this information? One of the civilian counselors asked. There is a summoning alliance. Actually, there are two, and they have recently allied with each other. Naruto stated. One alliance dealt with the toads, slugs, and monkey clans. Lord Hokage is a summoner of the monkeys, Jiraiya of the Sannin is of the toads, and Tsunade Senju is of the slugs. There is the Phoenixian alliance, consisting of the Phoenix clan, which I summoned from, the Dragon clan, which Sasuke Uchiha summons from, and the clans each Biju came from. This includes the Kitsune, summoners of each clan, and the Jinchuriki of each Biju are currently in the know. Why would we side with Kitsune? They are. If you say evil or anything of the like, then I will summon one here and now, and they can tell you the difference between a Kitsune and a Yoko. The Kyuubi is the only Kitsune that has been on both sides of the spectrum. The night he attacked, he was in a Yoko state. Normally, he sticks to Kitsune, and that means nothing painful. Just practical jokes, pranks, and the like. No killing unless needed. Naruto interrupted. Just then, a Kitsune appeared in front of him. Naruto, we have a bit of a problem. Naruto sighed. Kituno, I know that I happen to be the container of Lord Kyuubi, but that does not mean I am him. No, this does not regard the clan itself. It regards the alliance. The civilians were livid. Kituno, why don't you explain to everyone else here the difference between a Kitsune and a Yoko? It would be better for someone who knows the differences between the two, and not someone that happens to be ignorant of the matter, or doesn't know the full details. Kituno looked around. His eyes rested on Hiyashi and Sarutobi longer than the others. I highly doubt that anyone but Sarutobi would listen, much less believe me. The one with the pale eyes resembles Lady Hinata, though. That's because that's her father. Naruto told him. That explains it. Alright, listen up, and don't interrupt me. Kituno went into the details of the Kitsune and the way they view Yoko. The Kitsune clan does not get along with the Yoko, and the only Kitsune that has ever acted like a Yoko, if only briefly, happens to be Lord Kyuubi, for a reason. It happens to be the fact that he became a Biju due to a taint from the Jubi when it was sealed. All Biju were once summons before they became Biju. Lord Kyuubi is no exception. Aside from him and the Hachibi, no other Biju was a boss of their summoning clans. The council was actually starting to see the differences, but Shikaku was a little curious about something. Your name is Kituno, correct? Yes, it is. You have a question, I believe. He nodded. What caused you to work with the Toad clan that has been with our village, and yet a Kyuubi-level Kitsune attacked it? I am afraid that Lord Kyuubi was forced to revert to his Yoko state. We Kitsune are not completely in the know about it ourselves, but we are aware of how it can happen. If not for the fact we understand the circumstances involving Lord Kyuubi, then we would never even agree with it. There is also the matter of the alliance regarding the Toad and the Phoenix clans. It was an unspoken alliance due to the fact one Minato Namikaze has summoned from both clans. And before you say it's impossible, I should let you know that Naruto has 2 summons. 3 now, actually. Naruto stated. Finally got the 3rd yesterday. Gamabunta was pleased I chose him over Katsuyu. I'd imagine. Kituno nodded. Anyway, Kitoto thought we should let you know. We've let the others in the alliance know, and they will be telling their summoners. Naruto was in thought at this. We'd need to send word to the Tanuki. Something is off about the cage, and if Orochimaru is involved, then I'd go far enough to say he'd be willing to assassinate the cage if he didn't agree. We need someone to check out the deserts of Wind Country for any semblance of a corpse. That's the Tanuki's territory, so it's obvious they should check it out. When they find it, they should let the Ikibi Jinchuriki know, and then the alliance. Maybe we can stop an unwanted war before it begins. Naruto looked at the others. Am I right in believing this is the best action to take? Cut losses down to the minimal, and stop things before they can possibly get out of hand. The shinobi side nodded, along with several civilian counselors. Only a select few didn't agree. I see only 3 didn't agree with that. Sarutobi stated. Kituno, this action is to be taken. If I may, Lord Hokage. Shikaku asked. Go ahead. Naruto, how would you figure that out? Shikaku asked. And where did you get the power to do that? It is because Lord Kyuubi. I'm sorry, Katuno, but that's where you're wrong. I'm sure all of you are aware of my pranking ways when I was younger, correct? Everyone nodded. Nobody wanted to get hit with one of his pranks. Are you aware of how hard it would be for Chunin to plant a stink bomb in an Anbu headquarters and not get caught doing so? This surprised Sarutobi himself. That was you. Of course, Naruto stated. What's more is, back then I had no knowledge of my tenant. There is no way I'd be able to ask for help in that event from him. There's also the fact I did this at 9 years old. It is my love for pranking that allows me to come up with that, along with the information on rogues. A great prankster is also a good trap maker. The best trap makers are also highly adept at strategies regarding defense and rerouting. Considering the events in my past, what would you say is vital for me to live this long, Shikaku? Traps. You mean to say you've been developing your strategies with pranking as a child? Shikaku asked. That wasn't the original intention. It was just a way to gain some kind of acknowledgement at the time. About a month before I graduated from the academy, when I stumbled across my parents' hidden abode, I found out that my father was a bit of a prankster himself. Because he was a prankster, he noticed that you have to plan each step carefully, just like a trap master. The same thing applies to battle strategy. So basically, I use my experience in pranking to come up with battle strategies. That's also how I came up with this. Naruto replied. Everyone was silent. They had someone that could be as dangerous as a Nara clan member in battle strategy, and they never even noticed. Shikaku was impressed. Everything you just said not only makes sense, but is true. The amount of planning used in pranking is high. For someone like Naruto, in which no one wants to be on his pranking list, no one wants him to turn his entire supply of planning experience on their life. If he did, he'd be worse than a Nara in that regard. I concur, Inoichi stated. Even the worst in the IT division are afraid of his pranks. Not to mention some of the Anbu. Shibi added. It takes a lot to make an Anbu scared. Yet they are afraid of being pranked by him. And now you see why he's more dangerous than you'd think. Shikaku finished. Naruto, I haven't forgotten that little bet we had. Why don't we let Hiyashi Hyuga give the results of it? After all, it was him that I asked to oversee the results of it. Naruto stated, earning a nod. Yes. The only one that was even remotely suspicious was one Sakura Haruno. Even her sensei, Kurenai Yuahi, seemed unaware of it. Not even Anbu were aware, except for the three guarding him. Each shinobi clan head frowned, aside from Naruto, who was inwardly smirking, and Hiyashi, who was smart enough not to bet on it. Alright then, Inoichi, Shikaku, Shuza, Shibi, and Sum, it looks like I win our little bet. Tyuki was a little confused. What bet? A few days ago, Lord Hokage had to attend a meeting regarding his summoning clan. I was also present, however, it would appear as no one noticed he was gone. I believe that you all are wondering just what happened. The civilian council nodded. As I was supposed to attend the meeting as well, I proposed a plan to Lord Hokage. This way, no one would know he is gone, and the village is not without leadership. What was the plan? Councilwoman Haruno asked. I would use a shadow clone along with my own version of the transformation jutsu, which is more of a shape-shifting jutsu, to take his place in the office. However, I noticed a problem with the shadow clone that would immediately make that plan useless. So instead, I used a much more durable clone. My own version that Kyuubi and I came up with together. It has all the properties of the shadow clone, but can bleed, and continue to fight. I can't make more than 5 of them at once. We call it the Yuki clone, as it has at least 1 tail worth of his chakra. I can make thousands of shadow clones with ease, but I can only make up to 5 of them. I still can't use them for physical training, but anything else is transferred back upon dispelling. So it was a Yuki clone combined with the transformation jutsu. Any shinobi would have seen it. Inoichi stated. If you noticed, I said my version of the transformation jutsu. I'm sure a few of you have seen my sexy jutsu. It has even knocked Lord Hokage unconscious. It was on the verge of being labeled forbidden. However, there was one piece of it that makes it even more dangerous. It's not a mere illusion. It's an all-out transformation. Meaning I become an actual 17-year-old female, inside and out. That means I can use it to turn into the Hokage himself, and no one will notice. That seems to be the case. Naruto explained. The rest of the council saw a lot of danger in the plan. For those of you who think this kind of plan was a ploy to take over, you're sadly mistaken. I'm the only one that knows the full specifics of the jutsu, as it was created in a jutsu of my creation. As such, I'm the only one that knows it. Even though Konohamaru, grandson of the Hokage, knows the sexy jutsu, and it's only because he kept pestering me about it, his is still the original transformation jutsu. I didn't tell him about the whole, real transformation part. You have any proof of that claim? Shibi asked. You can ask Jiraiya of the Sannin, who is on the receiving end of the second level of the sexy jutsu, called the harem jutsu. He's also a self-proclaimed super pervert, meaning he would know the difference between a real and a fake. Ask him for confirmation, if you wish. I have yet to unleash the third level. There has been no need for it just yet. Naruto explained. Sarutobi nodded. I can attest to that. It happened to him in my office. Speaking of which, you never truly explained the third level. Those jutsu are demeaning for women. Soon shouted. Why do you think I don't use it that often? Naruto asked. That's the exact reason. I created it for self-defense against the majority of the population. You know that at least 80% of the males in the village are perverts, though they'd never admit it. Another 18 or 19% of males are strictly closet perverts. There are only 9 that I can count that are not all-out perverts. They all agree that perverted actions are wrong, and if it happens they regret it. I happen to be one of them. I regret the actions I took to get it, but I don't regret making it as it is highly effective. It also helped me survive, and for that, I know it is useful. I consider them anti-pervert ninjutsu. There are only 3 right now, so you know. Everyone nodded, seeing the application fit nicely. Of course, that doesn't mean it won't seem perverted. Even I see this. At least they weren't made to be a pervert. It would seem to cause a knockout via nosebleed. Shikaku stated, not once being targeted with it. More like perverted nosebleed. Bigger perverts, blood loss. Naruto stated, I think a few had to go to a hospital after that. Yes, but only 3. Sarutobi stated. For the last order of business, there is the little matter of his inheritance. What do you mean, Lord Hokage? There was one thing your father left outside of his estate. It was never put in there, as far as I know. It is his famed jutsu. Naruto was immediately behind him, completed it, and got rid of the signal. Everyone saw that Naruto was right behind the Hokage, arms crossed. However, mine is pure speed. His is like a reverse summon to his kunai. You can see that I never used a kunai. I can still backtrace it, to use a seal he placed long ago. There is still one problem I've got to work out. That's the tunnel vision. It's more of a battle-ready version of the Shunshin. He then spoke up again from his seat, but they all were looking at the last spot. As you can see, the form faded. It also leaves behind an afterimage, as a taijutsu master might call it. Everyone turned to him, and now you know that I don't really need that one. However, my heritage, though announced in here, is not to be released out of these chambers until after I become Chunin. At least now I can go for my father's ideas that were never truly finished without much worry. And by the way, I saved your asses from another rogue Uchiha. This caught everyone's attention. What do you mean? One of the civilians asked. Don't take this the wrong way, but he sighed. All your kiss-up attempts, and thoughts of a lot more Sharingan, along with Itachi killing off the clan would have made him go rogue if he didn't get strong enough to beat him. Now, Itachi isn't even on his list of targets. At least, not in the sense you'd think. It's no longer vengeance for Itachi. No, there is no longer any vengeance on Sasuke's mind. This has already been confirmed. If Itachi dies, Sasuke will do so, but only because that's what Itachi would want. What would you know? The truth behind the massacre. Naruto stated, a little contempt in his voice. Sarutobi stiffened, if only to make sure everyone else wouldn't know that he already knew that Naruto knew about it. Naruto took that moment to open a private link between himself and Sarutobi. Lord Hokage, I noticed that you tensed up when I said that. It was mentioned at the summoning meeting. Everyone that was there knows that I know. Heck, aside from Kakashi, everyone on my team knows. You know this. It was to keep up with appearances, Naruto. If not for that, I know that no one else would think much of it. The elders, and myself, are the only ones to know of the truth. As such, no one would think you'd be able to hear it. What truth could there be? A random civilian shouted, knocking Naruto out of the link. The truth behind the massacre is not my story to tell. Either Sasuke himself must tell you, or the elders along with the Hokage. Sasuke Uchiha knows the truth, and now is trying to correct the mistake the Uchiha clan was about to make, along with every other mistake they made beforehand. He's taken it upon himself to rid the clan of its shames. And it all starts back during the reign of the Shodai Hokage. With Madara Uchiha, or as the Phoenixian Alliance calls him, the Bane of the Biju. This sent gasps throughout the room. Inoichi tried reading Naruto's mind, only to find that he couldn't. I can't tell if there is truth to your claim. Like Hiyashi, you can't read my mind. There are 2 reasons for me, but only one for him. I have several mental barriers, mainly because of Kyuubi. I'd need them up. Thing is, he hasn't tried tearing them down, but instead strengthened it. The other reason applies to both of us. Mind-altering, or reading jutsu have no effect on those with the seal he has on him. I have that same seal, but for a different reason than mentioned. As does he. Explain, Shikaku stated. The seal itself was not originally a mind protection seal. It was an analysis blocking seal. It is similar to the caged bird seal, but without the risk. There is nothing that enslaves them, so Hiyashi is not under my control, nor am I under his. It will prevent anyone, friend or foe, from harnessing anything from the body, even the nutrient levels. Basically, anything from a bloodline, to something common, such as taijutsu form, cell structure, nothing will get out. Any analysis will prove useless, as any tampering with the corpse will result in immediate disposal. The mind protection is also a way to combat the cursed seal of heaven that Anko has. It cannot get rid of it, but it will prevent it from being placed on someone. None of the effects will take hold. With the possibility of Orochimaru coming back, I'm glad that Sasuke has one on him as well. How so? Well, I've done a little research myself. The cursed seal of heaven messes with the mind, enticing the one it curses to use its power. As such, any of the other effects will not take hold, either. He'd pass out afterwards, but other than that, nothing bad will happen. The only exceptions to mind techniques happens to be if they, themselves, initiate a telepathic conversation, or if both have the seal itself. I have the seal, and its complete structure is under wraps. It's a permanent replacement for the caged bird seal. As for Sasuke, I think we should know what his goal before he left was. Perhaps that would help with reasoning. Sarutobi's eyes widened. Wait a minute, the Sharingan. Bingo. If he wants every jutsu in the world, regardless of the fact he wouldn't be able to use Uzumaki-specific jutsu, and yes there are some, he'd want something that would allow him to copy all of that jutsu. What better way than with a Sharingan? Naruto asked. Everyone saw his point there and nodded. Well, this kind of seal would help all of our citizens with a bloodline. A civilian stated. Not going to happen, Naruto said, earning a few glares. Sasuke only has it due to the fact he's on my team and has a bloodline. Hinata, also on my team, has it for more than that. She has for a few reasons. 1, because she has Byakugan. 2, because it would stop the caged bird seal from being placed. 3, because she's my fiancé, and has been since before we were born. The Hyuga clan only has partial access to it. Anyone that gives out the details without the expressed permission from one with Uzumaki blood will not be able to say anything on it, or it could very well kill them. It may not be proven, but that's something the majority of Uzumaki-specific seals do. The jutsu are another story, and this is unless the one being told is an Uzumaki by birth. Any alterations can be sensed. My only guess is someone looks after the Uzumaki and can tell when someone gives out their secrets. I cannot stress the importance of this enough, if you can't tell. Which is why I'm telling you this now, instead of when, not if, it happens. After he sighed, he continued. Now for the final topic. Danzo Shimura is not here at this meeting for a reason. This confused everyone but Sarutobi. He is correct. The other elders are also not here for the same reason. It appears as though Danzo Shimura has been working with several rogues on the outside, and even helped to overthrow another village's leader, of which we are not allies. The only reason I am in the know about this one is because I'm the one that brought the information to Lord Hokage's attention in the first place, and even got him the proof. I'm sure you're all aware of the massive pranks hitting the housing of each council member, and then some. That was what I needed to get in, get the information, and get out. This was a request by Lord Hokage, and the fact that he told me the how is irrelevant, and he wouldn't know a thing, I had free rein. It was to cause enough chaos that the Anbu would be too busy trying to figure out how it was going on, and it would catch Danzu's attention, and he'd send some of his rude Anbu to help out. Needless to say, it worked as planned. I was never spotted, and I managed to get in and out without being noticed. So it was you, Hiyashi nearly shouted. The only reason I said what I did is because no one was to know of it until it was brought to light. And also, as you probably figured out, I didn't really lie. I told you the truth, but at the same time, I didn't tell you if I did or not. You just assumed I didn't due to the way it was progressing, as all of it could very well be the truth. Naruto replied, causing everyone to shut up. Hiyashi was silently cursing himself. And you should know that the Uchiha that were killed by Itachi have had some of their Sharingan taken from the corpses and implanted into his right arm and eye. That is more than enough for high treason alone. Add in his dealings with Orochimaru, and another threat that has yet to rear its ugly head, but known to be out there, then we have enough for an execution. Homura and Kaharu are going for a trial, but all evidence points to Danzo being executed. The evidence we have on him is staggering at best. It is best that he is executed in secret. Anyone that helps him escape will be considered traitors, and will be executed on the spot. Is that clear? Sarutobi stated, his voice cold and dripping with venom. Everyone nodded. Also, I thank you for your help in this, Naruto. Had you not stumbled upon his hideout, I would never have the proof to pull this off. Only the suspicions which I could never act on. Anything to help out. You know I don't really like the guy either. Besides, he doesn't even know of the curse on the Sharingan. Naruto replied, earning a few looks of surprise. What, you didn't know? Well, I can't say I'm surprised. Those with a Sharingan are supposedly cursed because of a breach in a deal. It was at least 80 years ago that it happened. The one known as the Bane of the Biju is the one that breached the deal, and believe me when I say, when that happened, the Sharingan was cursed by the one who created it. Sasuke is only using a partially uncursed Sharingan. As long as he abides by one vow he made, his will remain uncursed until the Bane of the Biju is truly dead. What exactly is this curse? Shikaku asked. By that, do you mean, where does it reside so one can get rid of it? If that's the case, then the only way to get rid of the curse itself is by retribution and penance to the one they wronged. If you're looking for a physical aspect, then there is none. For some reason, though, Itachi was not affected by it. Naruto explained. Well, then what are the effects of this curse? A massive amount of hatred, high sense of superiority, almost to a fault, and a sick obsession with revenge. The curse itself was meant to wipe them out, and it seems that it worked. Just not the way it was planned. There are 3 living Uchiha right now, one of which, I couldn't tell you how he's alive. He should have been dead for 80 years at least, for after he got the Sharingan cursed, he attacked the Shodai Hokage after trying to control the Kyuubi at the Valley of the End. I think anyone worth their salt would know who he is. Madara, Chuki started. Uchiha, Shuza finished. You mean he's alive? Sume shouted. I'm afraid so. And what's more is, he's after a weapon. One more powerful than any Jinchuriki. However, that weapon is far too dangerous for anything. It has come to my attention that even the Kyuubi no Kitsune fears it. Naruto stated, shocking everyone present. Kit, switch out. We will need to do something, and I'm going to have to explain it. Not happening. Not here at least. Then bring out a shadow clone, and let me switch with it. Wait a minute. Not the shadow clone. Yuki clone, but also transfer your consciousness into it as well. What are you? Wait, that might actually work. Okay, I'm about to try something out, and I think it could help us out in the explanation. Just don't go ballistic if it works. Naruto stated, causing others to get up and step back. Naruto made a hand sign, and charged some of the Kyuubi's chakra. Now. Yuki clone jutsu. There was a puff of smoke next to Naruto. When the smoke left, there wasn't a blonde-haired, blue-eyed teenager. No, what appeared was a man in his early 20s, with bright red hair, wearing an orange t-shirt, showing off a body that was built for speed and little strength. There was a pair of dark red, Anbu-styled pants on him. The eyes were a blood-red color, with black slits. He looked around, tested his muscles, and then smiled. Glad you figured out that plan, Naruto. This is by far, the most insane plan you've come up with. You know how I think. And you also know that the more insane the plan, the better it works for me. Well, you do specialize in the batshit insane and the impossible. Can't say I'm surprised when I think about it. Naruto, who is this? Sarutobi asked, suddenly wary of the new male. My apologies, here isn't Sarutobi. I should have introduced myself. However, if I did, everyone that held a grudge because of the event 13 years ago would either cower in fear, or go insane and start trying to attack me, instead of him. The man pointed at Naruto. I think that's more than enough for the smarter ones to figure out who I am. What do you think, Shikaku Nara? The shinobi clan heads had their eyes widen. Hiyashi suddenly had a small smile on his face. Looks like you found a way to give him a body, no? It's only a temporary measure, Hiyashi. Naruto stated. I basically make a clone for him to use, and if it is supposed to dispel, then he'd go back to his true body, which is still in the seal. Thankfully, I can still dispel it from a distance, and he can't go too far from me. Everyone nodded. Alright, I have a few things to say. First off, Where the hell do you think attacking a child? No demon in their right mind would do that. The only one to ever do that was the original Biju, and he's sealed in your fucking moon. This outburst was mainly directed towards the civilian counselors, and they all cowered in fear, or started coughing at the killing intent. I may not have wanted to attack this village in the first place, but after what you've done to this kid. You actually deserve it for your fucking stupidity. Kyuubi. At this, all killing intent was suddenly washed away. You're lucky he wants to protect this village. Personally, with what you idiots put him through, I can't say I'd do the same. You all would have been completely destroyed if you had done that to a mere C-class demon. What do you think would happen if you did that to a Biju, which is considered a high S-class regardless of species? The man, now known as Kyuubi, ended up asking. There wouldn't be a village left after 5 years. Of that, you can be certain. This caught everyone by surprise, but not as much as his next statement. What also gets me is the strength of Naruto's will. I wouldn't be able to take over his mind, seal or not, if I wanted to. The only exception is if he lets me do so. No one, not even a deity, can move him when his will is involved. Of that, I can be certain. If fate had his way, Naruto wouldn't even be here. That's the way it is with all Uzumaki clan members. For them, impossible is but a word. But him, impossible doesn't even begin to describe him. His whole existence, along with everything else in his life, is impossible for anyone. Human, or demon. This includes the fact he has any sanity left. This sent everyone that wasn't accustomed to extreme shock, meaning the civilians minus Chuki and Haruno, pass out. Anyone that didn't was surprised that anyone, especially a human, would get a compliment, especially of that caliber. And that's just the beginning. Because of everything, even I envy him. You call it a sin. A demon. Admitting it is a sin. I have no problems admitting it for him. I give credit where credit is due. Any Biju would agree with me when I say, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze has a stronger will than any creature that has ever existed. Haruno was surprised that anyone would compliment Naruto, much less a demon. Kyuubi, we've already been through this. I don't need that kind of publicity. No, you need someone to acknowledge something about you. If there's one thing that you deserve to be acknowledged for, it's your willpower. You can create thousands of shadow clones with ease, and that deserves some merit, as even your Hokage can only make, at most, 60. Even then, he wouldn't be able to fight. Yet you could make 2,000 and take on an army for an hour, and keep still going. Yet the strength of your will deserves more merit than that, as any demon could do that, yet no demon, Biju or not, could ever have the strength of will you do. I think we all want to know what your next point is. Inoichi stated, I think we know enough to see that you care about him more than anyone else in this village does. Except one. There is only one that I would prefer he be with instead of me, at least of those that stay in the village. She happens to be on his team. Even if Kakashi won't help train him, I would. He then noticed the unconscious counselors. Kid, you want to wake them up. I think they'd need to be awake for the next bit. You going to yell at them again? Only if they show their stupidity. Naruto chuckled at that. Naruto went through a few hand signs. Sweeten, douse. A small cloud appeared over each of the unconscious counselors and then rained on them. They were awake, and wet. You finally got to test it out. Nice. No one spoke up against Naruto now. In fact, most of the counselors were scared of the body Kyuubi had now. What is this next bit? It has to deal with Team 7, under Kakashi Hatake. They have already been training in ways no other Genin team would. The fact of the matter is, they are in more danger than any other team, even when it comes to an Anbu team that has had their cover blown, with no backup, out of supplies, outnumbered 10,000 to 1, outgunned, and shit out of luck. Team 7 is in more danger, not because of me, but because of what's after the Jubi. The one thing any demon in their right mind fears. Madara, if what everything we have is true, would be after the Jubi, and ultimately, the destruction of the entire planet. Not even I could do that. He is rightfully feared. The only one to ever harness the Jubi's power was the one you know as the Rokudo Sennin. That's a big claim you make there. Hiyashi stated. How do we know the truth of it? Oh, it's true. Sarutobi stated. Madara is known as the bane of the Biju for a reason. However, the Biju were all different before the Rokudo Sennin sealed the Jubi in the moon. That is correct. At one point, I was just a kitsune. Then the Jubi came along, and after it was sealed, it left behind a taint. I was affected by it, and now I tend to have bouts of Yoko-like behavior. Something that I never liked. Kitsune and Yoko have highly differing views on actions. The night I attacked, I was forced into Yoko state, and then forced to attack by Madara himself. I'm still not sure how the hell he survived all these years. However, he's back, and now he's after the Jubi. By proxy, he'd want the Biju for the taint. For this reason, I'd rather stay sealed inside of Naruto here. Wait, you want to be sealed? Sume nearly shouted, mainly because of surprise. It's because of the Uzumaki bloodline. I'm the third one to actually manifest the unique piece of it. Or rather, have the ability to awaken it. I haven't yet. You do realize that mentioning it alone would give grounds for the CRA. Sarutobi warned. And I stand by my conditions. Otherwise, the CRA will not affect me. Naruto told him. These conditions will also apply to any Uzumaki that is born from me. By the way, a bloodline like that of the Kori clan, which allowed use of the Hyouten element, would not manifest in my children, as that's part of the Uzumaki clan's bloodline. If my children have 2 or more elements, they can combine them naturally. That's the basic part of the bloodline. Thing is, there is one combination of 3 elements that, not only does it negate the basic piece, only allows those 3 elements and grants one element that has only been seen twice in Uzumaki history. That's the same combination I have. Heck, it's so rare, there is no record of a name in the entire history of the Uzumaki clan, as far as I know. I intend on naming the element for its properties, which I will not discuss, like the rest of my clan that already knows of it. Anyone outside of the Uzumaki clan that knows of it, knows to never talk about it, under penalty of death. This was a decree 150 years ago in the Uzumaki clan, on the deathbed of the last Uzumaki that had it. Kyuubi told them. He wasn't able to master it before he died, but came close. For this element, mastery is not in how well you can use it, but the amount of jutsu you learn using it, along with how many normal fire jutsu you can use with it. The grand fireball jutsu that the Uchiha use can be used with this element, but for one to use AC rank with an S rank level, that is hard. It is deadly to evil creatures, however, if a creature is not inherently of evil nature, a kitsune being a prime example, it will not do as much damage. If said creature is tainted, this element could very well get rid of said taint. I just said that I wasn't explaining it. That's the extent I'm going to go into it, as that would explain my other reason for wanting to stay sealed for now. Everyone was shocked at this. One more slip up, and that's the last you're seeing for a while. Hey, they need to know that things are going to be different around here. You know that. That may be the case, but that doesn't mean. He then noticed everyone around him. Sorry about that. No worries. I guess I've gotten used to it. The Haruno replied. Anyway, what did he mean by, for now? We found a way to transfer his consciousness, without transferring any of his Yuki, or his original body. He would regain it eventually, and he'd still stick with me. We already have an agreement on that. We are bound by a soul oath, so if he goes against that, he'd die anyway. Naruto stated. There will be no worries about him. As long as I want to protect this village, so will he. He should have protected the village anyway, instead of attacking it, as he was, and still is, the guardian of the forests. This village is surrounded by forests, and therefore, in his territory. Of course, he'd protect it. It makes the Kitsune clan happy with my freedom of a prison, Naruto happy because of not having to deal with me in his head, and also me happy, as I'd no longer be affected by the taint when the transfer does happen. At the same time, the villagers would still be safe, as I wouldn't have to worry about shifting into Yoko state. At least, that's the theory. If I am forced into Yoko state, Naruto can instantly revert me back to Kitsune state, as we have developed a sort of soul bond. He can snap me out of any genjutsu, as I can do to him as well. Not to mention it would be fatal for Madara's plans. If Kyuubi goes full size and I'm up against Madara, I'd be in hiding, not on the front lines, knocking him out of genjutsu that Madara would place. Naruto stated. At this point, you kill him, you endanger the entire village with the Kitsune clan, the Phoenix clan, the Dragon clan, and quite a few others. You're already on bad terms with the Bakeniko clan, due to your attempts with Tora and her descendants. If Nibi comes, and I am not around, be prepared for hell to break loose. Literally. You kill me, and by proxy him, you've basically got the clans of every Biju, along with the Phoenix and Dragon clans. The Toads and Slugs may just help them. The monkey summons of the Sarutobi clan might help destroy the place as well. You never know. They all have an alliance, so, before you go and attack me again, you might want to reconsider your options, and the consequences of each one before you act. He makes a good point. One that I don't think you should take lightly. Honestly, I wouldn't mind either way with what he was put through. In him, you have either a powerful ally, or a dangerous enemy. So make the smart decision, and don't bother attacking him. You will regret it, if you do. Kyuubi then turned to Naruto. I'm not sticking around here. We'll talk about that other idea of yours later on. I've still got to figure out a few details on it. Trying to incorporate some of the features we both want will not be easy to handle, much less be able to add into any metal you'd normally find around here, you know. I'm aware. We'll consider the options on it again later. Naruto replied, earning a nod and a poof from Kyuubi. What idea is this? Shikaku asked. Unless we can work out the problems in it, we can't really do much with it. As such, no details will be revealed. However, I have been having shadow clones work in the forges of the village. This way I can use the experience to forge the items required for the idea. None of them are offensive weapons, and once made, I may release some of the details. Until then, details are strictly under wraps, as it might not come about. Naruto replied. One of the other counselors was about to say something. That means don't ask, because nothing is certain about it as of yet. For those of you who are wondering, this is the armor talked about in the question last chapter. The voting is still going on as of this typing, and is not likely to be released until the Chunin exams, if it does come about. Sarutobi nodded. Anything else regarding other things that would need to be brought up? No one spoke up. Then everything said here will not leave this room, or hinted at, under penalty of death. Naruto's heritage will only have one exception, and that is Naruto himself. This is his will, and that will last until he makes Chunin rank. If it is about to get out, that one person, along with the one it was hinted at, will be killed on the spot. Is that clear? Everyone nodded, though some began to sweat under the fierce gaze. Danzu's execution will be held in 2 days in private. He will meet with me then, and his execution will happen at that very moment. This council is dismissed. Everyone nodded, got up and left. The Haruno, Hyuga, and Naruto himself stayed behind. All right, from what I know, you were head over heels with my daughter. Why the sudden change? When I found out about the engagement between myself and one Hinata Hyuga, I gladly welcomed it. She didn't like the fact that people saw me as a monster, and honestly, I never noticed it until after I found my parents' old house. Including myself, only 4 can get there. Once I found out about it, any romantic interest I had for Sakura was gone. I'm not the dense idiot I was beforehand, that couldn't get a clue. I knew that she didn't like me, but I have to admit, it was fun playing the fool. I might add a few low C ranks to the mission roster for Genin. He looked at the door. Gigi would love to see the results of some of them. Not to mention it's likely to be harder than Demon Cat Tora mission. Oh come on, what could possibly be that hard? Hiyashi asked. The Tora mission is the only D rank that's actually worth doing. I've only done it once, and honestly, I swear she was related to the Nibi somehow. Then again, what are the odds of that, am I right? If I add a few, you can be sure that some people will get a few laughs, others will not like what happens, and since it would be an official mission, people couldn't do a damn thing about. I'd be judging the missions myself, since it would fall under my specialty. Naruto stated, getting a small smirk out of Hiyashi. Pranks. Among other things. Let's see if they can go through with it. The dangers are not present, but it can be considered training, and you could fail these missions and not run a risk. You'd have to succeed in the mission itself in order to get paid. I'd be going over the main specs of each one as I come up with them. One in particular is pranking a restaurant, and getting away from whoever chases them, or just keeping themselves get captured for an hour, or some other predetermined time period. Oh, the fun I could put the Genin through. What would you two think about this? You have both been council members longer than I have. And I don't claim to have experience in politics. I think some could actually get a laugh out of it. Hiyashi stated. It may seem childish, but it seems as if it could help in ways no one would expect. And that's the beauty of it. No one would notice the true meaning unless explained. Naruto then tensed up. Another round of winnings. Why am I not surprised? What do you mean? Haruno asked. I send a few shadow clones to gamble in some of the nearby towns from time to time. It helps me keep my finances high up there, as I'm a natural at it. My team knows never to make a bet with me, as they will lose. Naruto admitted. Not a good counselor act, but it helps finances. There's no arguing that. I only have to do so once every few weeks, and I have completely restored what was there when I found it, and then doubled it, as usual. Anyway, your opinion on the missions. I think it could help out a bit, but I fail to see just what it could help out with. Are you aware that Anbu are constantly patrolling the village? Or the fact that it is actually hard as hell to outrun Chunin at 9 years old usually? Yet the only one to ever catch me was Iruka Yumino. I swear, it's like he has a tracker on me, but it isn't tangible. I can outrun Anbu, but I could never outrun him. Yes, no, and what the hell? Haruno replied. If the Anbu catch them then it is a failed mission. My team would not be eligible for these missions, as I could do any of them with ease. The goal is not pranking itself, but a safe situation for something similar in an actual mission. Search and destroy, for instance. They'd have to get away from pursuers, and that would include Anbu-level ninja from time to time. As such, it would require stealth, speed, and above all else, planning for something that is somewhat unusual, and not really predicted that often. It's better for Genin to do something like that, and maybe you both can help out with that. You mean? Haruno's eyes widened in realization. Yes, using the missions for pranking those that tick you off. You could easily get back at others like that, you know. No true harm done, and less violence needed. Naruto finished for him. Do you see the point in thinking this? Now I do, Haruno admitted. My god, you're far too smart for your own age. Being a prank master, along with being alone all your life, does that to you. Your mind forces itself to grow up. Something that, though I'm not thankful for, it helps out in the weirdest of situations. That is something good that came of it. Hiyashi then noticed something. I seem to recall you were a lot more serious looking and professional during the meeting than you are now. Why is this? What, you think I want to stay a boring stick in the mud? Naruto asked. No, I did that because it required a professional outlook. Now that nothing professional is required, I can actually have some kind of lenience, and act casual. Something that seems lost to most. The others both looked at each other, and shrugged. Kakashi shunted in at that point. Naruto, we're having a team meeting, and Jiraiya is involved. Damn, probably has to do with the summons, right? Naruto asked, earning a nod. The sticks never end, I suppose. At least I'm getting used to it. They both left in their respective shunshin. Hiyashi and Haruno both walked out, thinking the same thought. I wonder how I can use that idea to my advantage. They both inwardly smirked at the possibilities they came up with. A few days later. A few teams had gotten some fun D-rank missions. A few restaurants were pranked, but they couldn't outrun the Anbu that followed. Junin were not allowed to participate in the mission. Sarutobi got a few chuckles at the mission requests that have been coming from Hiyashi Hyuga, Tsuyuki Haruno, who happens to be a counselor, and one Naruto Uzumaki. It was only 4 days after the council meeting that some of the genin were not only finding holes in several defenses that needed to be plugged up, but also slowly gaining speed and a bit of tactical planning, though they don't see it. They were interested in them, to say the least. The only ones that didn't like these missions were the ones that got hit by them. When it got out that 3 counselors came up with the idea, some of them went to Hiyashi and Tsuyuki, but they stated that they got the idea of using the missions to find holes in the village's defenses from Naruto. It was on this day, 4 days after the council meeting, that Naruto was called into the Hokage's office. You wanted to see me, Lord Hokage? He asked. I have heard that you have given 2 council members an idea for pranking several restaurants and the like. What was your original intention with that? Actually, I thought it would give our genin a safe environment as a simulation for tougher missions. You know the old search and destroy missions during wars. This is a much safer version for everyone, and if failed, there are no penalties. I simply told them to think of the possibilities, and they did. What they've been doing is their ideas, aside from the fact that we can strengthen, not only our genin, but our defenses. I know that Anbu are almost always patrolling the village, so why not use this to our advantage, and strengthen our genin by trying to outrun them? Naruto explained. It may seem irresponsible, however, it depends on how you look at it. Part of being a ninja means looking underneath the underneath. If you realize this, you see the possibilities that reside in these missions. Sarutobi simply nodded. This is highly useful. I mean, it takes a genin to figure out that other genin need a good type of training, and a prankster to boot. Yet the training they come up with is literally a safe simulation of a real-time war situation, and AD rank at that. At the same time, we're finding out the holes in our own defenses, so we can improve on them. Very clever. I'll admit Kyuubi actually helped me with some of the planning, such as the Junin sensei not being allowed to participate. Naruto added, I just think it's good training for stealth, speed, and tactical warfare, though the latter to a lesser extent. It's as good for training as the Tora mission, but is nowhere near as dangerous. Play on the defenses with our own ninja. We have to get the defenses higher. We shouldn't be able to have genin get through our defenses, much less academy students. That's why I've been judging the missions I add to the roster. See if they can get away from the pursuers or at least keep from being captured for about an hour, sometimes 2, as that's usually the amount of time to reach a border after a search and destroy mission, unless I'm mistaken. Seeing Sarutobi shake his head, Naruto continued. If they can keep away for the time limit, or completely lose them before reaching a certain spot beforehand, then they succeed in the mission. If not, and they are captured, then they fail. If it were a war situation, they would be interrogated, tortured, or worse. If you think about it, I'm preparing our genin for a future war that may or may not come to pass. And that's why you chose genin. That's some of the reasons. Another is that they are still young, and as such, can easily think up a few good pranks. Another reason for this is because it's better for our own ninja to get through our own defenses than enemy ninja, am I correct? A nod. Then why not have some of our most likely ninja to handle it? That actually makes sense. But why bring in the Haruno and Hyuga counselors? Well, someone needs to put those kinds of requests if I'm out on long-term missions, am I right? I would have just asked Hiyashi, or maybe even Sue Minazuka, we all know she'd get a kick out of it. That she would. And you are preparing for something that won't happen for a while. Sarutobi stated. There's no guarantee there. Naruto stated. Any mission C rank and above can turn out longer than before. Better safe than sorry, you know. I see. Then continue with the missions, as I got a good laugh out of the last one. Oh, and if the Chunin exams are coming up, the moment word gets sent out about it the first time around, and other village ninjas start coming in, none of these missions will come up from me. I'd have to let the others in on this, know that, since we can't have our enemy ninja knowing our village's defenses are weaker than they should be, you know. Noted. Sarutobi stated. Dismissed. Naruto left in a fire shunshin. That kid is such a handful, but at least he has good ideas. I may just keep things like that a secret. Sarutobi thought before returning to his paperwork, which got really interesting recently. It hasn't even been a week since Naruto was at his first council meeting. He was now in the mission room. Well, it seems like the D ranks are going bigger with the recent additions. However, it seems as though there is to be a C rank for your team, Kakashi. Lord Hokage. Kakashi said. I am aware of what your team is doing, and as such, I am allowing it for your team. Sarutobi told him. And the mission? Kakashi ended up asking. It is a protection mission. This is going over to Wave Country. You are to protect a bridge builder, so he can finish his bridge. Naruto narrowed his eyes. Kyuubi, this is far beyond AC rank. I already got the memo from Khan. Let's go for it anyway. We can get a higher rank than before, but we need to make sure we're ready for anything. I got it. Naruto, have you heard anything from the Phoenix clan? Yes, and be ready for anything. And that includes ninja from other villages. I understand. This is right up our alley. That's exactly what I thought. Someone entered the room. What? They're sending kids nowadays. They look wet behind the ears, especially the GI. The bottle in his hand just shattered. Insult her again, and you'll lose more than your sake. Naruto said, sobering him up completely. I take that back. They're a lot more competent than I thought. The old man said. My name is Tazuna, the Grandmaster Bridge Builder. Alright, East Gate. 1 hour. Make it 2 hours, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto said. We'll need to make sure we're prepared for anything, and that includes something that could easily be found off with this mission after it starts. Are you doubting the mission parameters? Sarutobi asked. Only without physical proof. Naruto admitted. If what I figure is correct, then we'll need to be prepared. If not, well, I'm sure Kakashi-sensei can figure it out from there. Plan for the worst, Kakashi started. Hope for the best. Naruto finished. I'm out. I have to find a few things first. And Lord Hokage. He tossed a scroll. Unseal one seal if there is a council meeting that requires Uzumaki presence. If not, don't bother. When the meeting is done, let it roam, as they have preset instructions once released from the seal. They will each last up to 4 days, so don't unseal more than one at any point in time. He left in his usual fire shunshin. Tazuna, you will find there are more to us than you think. Hinata said, before dissolving into wind. Sasuke looked at him. Never insult Hinata, or you risk the wrath of someone that not even the Hokage can stand up to and not be scared. He left in a fire shunshin. -2 hours later. Team 7 was standing at the East Gate, waiting for Kakashi and Tazuna. They had 5 minutes, so we all know the full scope. Naruto asked. They both nodded. We don't let on if we know. In fact, if anything, keep your guard up, but keep our suspicions out of our voice or posture. We need to make it seem like it's nothing big, and when they strike, that's when we continue showing what all we can do. Naruto said. Hey, those guys won't know what hit them. There was an explosion elsewhere. Naruto looked in that direction. Sasuke and Hinata were both wondering what it was. Who did that? My question is, Haruno or Hyuga? Naruto spoke up. What? They both asked simultaneously. Sakura's mom, your dad, and myself have been adding D ranks recently. You have no idea how effective they are, regardless of it originally being my idea. I wasn't called the prank demon for no reason, you know. He told them, looking at Hinata. Oh, that makes sense. Sasuke replied, Hinata nodding in agreement. Kakashi and Tazuna walked up to them. Any idea what just happened? One of the counselors added another D rank. More specifically, Haruno or Hyuga. I can't say which either. Naruto stated. Don't worry too much about it. If you say so. It's obvious you're in the loop. Kakashi replied, lazily. Alright, let's get going. They all walked in a simple formation for a few hours. Hinata began asking questions, while Naruto and Sasuke were silent. They were simple questions, mainly about the bridge itself. Tazuna was a little surprised that she was interested in the bridge itself but answered easily. The team of ninja all noticed the puddle and had one thought. It begins when they strike. Kakashi had another thought. So, he was right. Well, let's see how well they prepared. Kakashi let his guard drop completely, and they attacked. They surrounded Kakashi with a chain which attracted the attention of the genin, who never went that far from Tazuna. Alpha, Naruto stated. Mike, Sasuke continued. Foxtrot, Hinata finished. 448. They all shouted. Naruto and Sasuke launched fire jutsu while Hinata launched a small-scale wind jutsu into each one. It incinerated each of them, but left the bodies intact. There was a pair of screams, before the flames dispersed. The genin looked at what happened, and Tazuna was shocked they'd go that far. They began to tie up the ninja, while Kakashi came out of the bushes. I must say you acting quickly and efficiently. Told you something was wrong with this mission. Naruto stated. I'm not surprised though. No matter what, crazy shit always happens to me. I always seem to get the short end of the stick, and missions C rank and above are likely to end higher rank than intended. I have no doubt about handling this. It's what we've been training for. But this was a little too easy. A pair of rogue chunin should be harder than this. That they should, Kakashi stated, as he examined them. Demon brothers. They are trained to continue until death or their job is done. And they will no longer have bounties on them after we're done here. Naruto said, before looking at Tazuna. Tazuna, I have a bird's eye view for a lot of things. I already knew of the state your village is in. I'm not surprised you lied about the mission parameters, but that would normally cause us to go back and have a higher ranking team handle it. Something tells me, you wouldn't be able to pay for a higher rank mission, am I right? Why yes. That's right. Tazuna looked down. Naruto looked at the other genin, who both nodded. Kakashi-sensei, we're going all the way. Don't worry about dangers, because we can handle it. This is more a test of our true skills, and now, we don't have much to worry about for holding back. You've seen us in team training, but rarely in individual training. Training with the dead is helpful. Sasuke added. And with the Uzumaki and Namikaze scrolls. We're good, Hinata added. Then we shall continue. Kakashi stated, his laziness abruptly ended. We should let the Hokage know. Taken care of, Naruto said, looking up, finding a phoenix heading off. As for the bounties, he made 2 shadow clones. My clones will handle that. The clones nodded, and each took a body. They both walked off, the demon brothers in tow. Let's move. This is no longer AC rank. It's AB rank, potentially an A- rank. Kakashi stated, his laziness gone. You have any idea who the boss is? Naruto shook his head. His name is Gato. Tazuna said, drawing all faces to him. A man of extreme wealth, and he doesn't want the bridge finished. And that's where my bad feeling came from. Naruto said, all faces turning to him. I knew the situation was bad, but this man is going up against someone that could hire just about anyone to kill him off. Next one is likely Junin level. And if he is taken down, then there is likely to be an even bigger threat afterwards. We'll need to be careful from here on out. No longer is this a mission where the normal book will cut it. Come to think of it, that kind of move was not in the normal book. Actually, that was a more Chunin level, possibly Junin level tactic in said book. Now, Kakashi is going by his book. We, on the other hand, are going by my book. Naruto said, earning a shocked face from Hinata. Wait a minute, you think this is that bad? She asked. It could get worse, and none of us have any true practice where we would need it in the normal book. We've been training team strategy from my book, not the original. And now, we're going to need our best. Naruto told her, earning some understanding from Sasuke. Let's get going. The sooner we get there, the sooner the bridge is built, and the sooner Gato is thwarted. Sasuke said, getting nods from everyone. Thank you. Thank us by completing the bridge, Tazuna. Naruto said. I hate the sorry state he put your village in. If he rears his ugly head, then I will kill him without hesitation. I've dealt with people like him all my life, and they made my life hell. Hinata cut him off. Hell doesn't even begin to describe his life, but that's the closest word to it. I'm not going into detail, because you can figure it out from there. They looked at each other and nodded. They continued in an unlikely formation for the situation. It wasn't a delta formation which was standard. Sasuke was to the left of Tazuna. Naruto and Hinata right in front of him. Kakashi was to the right, seemingly leaving the rear open. Tazuna didn't bother to question it, because Naruto sounded like he knew what he was saying. They made it to the border with no problems. They all got in a boat, and went in seemingly unnoticed. The ninja knew otherwise. Hinata took the liberty of adding Sasuke into the telepathic link, which he was thankful for, before they did. They've been talking amongst themselves through said link, going through the book of possible strategies. They all noticed the faint trace of chakra in the atmosphere. Naruto would have placed a genjutsu over them, but decided against it. Naruto looked at Kakashi as they passed the bridge. He understood the message immediately. We've already been spotted. Once they landed, everyone was on high alert. Tazuna thanked the boatman for the ferry, and he went off. They continued to walk inland, only for Naruto to throw a kunai, not revealing his Omega Buster. This confused them, before he went to pull out the rabbit. This rabbit is supposed to have a brown coat, guys. That's why I didn't use the Omega Buster. The moment Sasuke and Sakura heard that in their heads, they found their senses on high alert. Within seconds, Sasuke pulled Tazuna down, Hinata jumped up, and Kakashi hit the deck. Naruto was missing from the area. A sword hit a tree, and someone had appeared on it. No wonder the demon brothers lost. I see it's the copy ninja Kakashi. The man said. Zabuza Momochi. When the demon brothers were defeated by my students, I figured you were somehow involved. Now that you're here. Wait, Sasuke said, pulling out a stone in the shape of a small sword. I've got this one. Hinata, see if you can find Naruto. Not possible, she said. You know what happens when he doesn't want to be found, right? You mean? Yes, he's concealing himself from even my dujutsu. Hinata replied. Kakashi-sensei, the three of us will stay here and keep Tazuna safe from this guy. Naruto left for a reason. Whatever that reason is, it's important, if he's hiding himself completely, and to this extent. No genin could handle the demon brothers. Zabuza stated. You're obviously bluffing. Sasuke took this moment to parry the sword coming directly at him with the stone. You're nothing but a wet behind the ears brat. You think so? Sasuke asked, before sending chakra to the stone, causing it to transform in front of Zabuza's eyes. This sword is one that only I can use. He pushed Zabuza off with the blade. Zabuza was surprised at the power behind the attack. This kid has a lot more power behind his strikes than I thought possible. Could it be these guys are actually chunin, and young for their age? Rank isn't the only thing that matters in the shinobi world. Sasuke said. You, of all people, should realize that. Hinata tensed up a bit. Zabuza noticed, but wasn't able to capitalize on it. Looks like Naruto's about to start his own fight with someone, she said, earning Kakashi's and Tazuna's attention. You two handle this guy. I'll handle Tazuna. Leave Naruto to his devices. If his situation goes sour, then I'll go to him. Deep forest. Naruto was staring down a hunter ninja. You've been in the area longer than we were. I'd go far enough to say you were Zabuza's right hand, and not a real hunter ninja. You are too smart for your own good. But keeping me here will mean nothing if you die. The hunter ninja replied. I'm not just going to keep you here. Naruto said, before the scenery changed to that of a spiraling void of orange and red. Think Legend of the Dragon Special Transformation Field for the Red Flame Dragoon. We're both going to be here, and neither of us can leave until they finish their fight. Zabuza will die against them, and any highly destructive jutsu used here will have no adverse effects on the landscape in the forest we were just at. An effective, space-time jutsu, one that only I can use. Why bother? You will still lose to my speed, he said. First, your name. I will give you mine when you give it to me. Naruto told him. And I don't mean a codename he told you give me. I want your real name. Hiku Kori. The hunter ninja replied. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto told him. Uzumaki. Of the Uzumaki clan. Haku's voice rose. Ah, so you know of it. A shame, really, Naruto stated. I had recently found texts about them, and that my clan worked in tandem with them often, as allies. Haku told him. Then we can forego the fight for now, and simply talk. Naruto said, while they both sat down. The field won't go down on my order. I set it to continue until my teammates' fight is completely over. Meaning, either Zabuza is dead, or Tazuna and my teammates are dead. We cannot help either side. You mean? The eyes widened behind the mask. Drop the mask. I'll need to see your face, if we're going to talk. Honestly, I don't exactly trust you. Naruto admitted. Haku took off the mask, revealing a beautiful face. Kami, why do you play with my emotions like this? No comment. Shut up. I understand the situation, and that there is nothing I can do as of yet. Haku admitted. However, Zabuza saved my life as a child. Gave me a reason to live. That is why I followed him. He's the reason I'm here today. I don't like killing, regardless of the reason. So, you follow him to repay a debt? Naruto asked, his voice questioning. Haku nodded. Why pay the debt to someone like him? I find it necessary to do so. He helped me, I help him. He gave me reason to live, taught me how to survive. I am his tool, nothing more, nothing less. Well, I'm going to call bullshit on that. Naruto replied. A tool is only as good as the one that uses it. You don't think you'd have any humanity left if he did think of you as a tool and only a tool, do you? What are saying? A tool that is made from flesh and blood follows orders, regardless. If he told you to kill someone close to you, would you do it? Naruto asked. If he told you to kill him yourself, would you do it? And I'm not talking about a fake kill. A full-blown kill. Naruto asked. I couldn't. He's the only one that matters to me. Then you are not a true tool. Naruto said, causing his eyes to widen. If you are not willing to kill him if ordered, then you are not a true tool. He is not likely to realize it himself, either. But. No buts. Naruto cut him off. Haku, I need to know something. Why do you follow him? And don't bother saying it's your duty to as his tool. Search your heart for the answer. Haku was silent. He's more of a father than my own. And that's the reason I was hoping you'd give. Naruto said. Your clan was said to work with mine. I believe we should reinstate that action, don't you? Why? Haku asked. I don't see the point in it. My clan was nearly destroyed. So is mine. Both of them. I am well aware of the Kori clan's Kekkei Genkai. The Hyouten is a feared bloodline. If I didn't have fire, I'd be able to use it myself. What does that have to do with anything? What I'll get is not like Hyouten. With wind, water and fire as my elements. I get a tertiary element, which I do not have access to as of yet. I can't use the sub-elements using two of them. The sacred flame of the Uzumaki. Haku whispered. No one knows of the true name as it is so rare, even within the clan, that no one knows how to use it, and it can't be copied by anything. It's the only tertiary element that can't be used by anyone that is not of Uzumaki blood at birth, right down to the soul. Or so it's believed. There are nothing but legends about it. It would have been a hell of a lot better if I went up against demons with that element. Naruto added. That's what I heard. It was said to be the only thing demons feared more than the Jubi. Even that was considered a myth. Haku added. Zabuza won't make it out of that fight. If Sasuke activates his Dujutsu, and uses it to its fullest, Zabuza won't stand a chance. Kakashi also has Sharingan, as you know. Hinata is of the Hyuga clan, but doesn't act like any of the others. Unless they're after me, she won't go all out. But if she does, she's pissed, and it caused her to kill off an elder of her own clan. She's more dangerous than the average Hyuga is said to be at twice her age. However, the most dangerous out of all of us is me. My tactics are unpredictable. My ideas, insane at best. My life, impossible is what I say is the correct word. The only other word I can think of is hell, but that's an understatement. And they don't realize that you're their most powerful asset. Personally, I blame human nature, not the people themselves. Naruto shrugged. They feared something they know nothing about. As such, that fear turned into hate, and that hate needed a scapegoat. I was that scapegoat. My story is not as tragic, but I see it as needed. Haku admitted. And before you ask, I'm actually a girl, regardless of Zabuza wanting me to be a male. Damn it, this is so not my day. And you don't want to screw her at all. I'm fine with Hinata alone, but that damn Cra would make them want me to go after her as well. I only came up with those conditions because I thought they wouldn't be met. And you didn't want that to happen. You're such an idiot. Quite furball. She's talking again, Naruto said, cutting him out, as he listened to the story. Sounds like Sasuke's story, Naruto said after she was finished. He'd probably love to be with someone like him. You'd be considered an Uchiha, not that of the Kori clan, regardless of your bloodline going into his children with you as well. But wait, wouldn't that just cancel out the bloodlines? That's a common misconception. There was a record of the Byakugan entering the Uzumaki clan long ago, but it never made it the third generation. The baby was killed by some random man, after it was discovered to have the Byakugan. It never had a chance to make a third generation outside Konohagakure. The father was not happy and committed suicide. The mother did as well. The only records of it happening was what I just told you. It proves that Dujutsu bloodline and an element-based bloodline, like yours and mine, can mix without canceling each other out. One person can have 3 bloodlines: chakra, physical, and Dujutsu. You don't have the physical bloodline, and neither does he. He had a Dujutsu, which means my children with him will have both of our bloodlines without fail. Exactly, Naruto said. Since he's the last of his clan, he has to take multiple wives. You're the last of your clan, but they won't be out of the wetwork. If anyone asks, there is no more Kori clan. They can't force the CRA on you, as you are female. I have the entire CRA memorized, and as such, I know for a fact that they can't force you. You can go for Sasuke only, and then teach them of the Hyouten. I can even give you copies of the Uzumaki Hyouten Jutsu, as we could use them as well. I'd appreciate it. I guess I'll be coming with you when you are done with your mission. Haku replied. One question. Don't announce it, just ask, Naruto said, completely laid back. Why did you say his story is like mine? His entire clan was wiped out by his brother. It's only thanks to me that he's not hung up on revenge. Naruto said. The field turned back into a forest right then and there. Huh, looks like it's over. Let's go to them. They both got up and jumped back to the rest of the team. Team 7. Zabuza was dead. His head was next to his body. There were slight traces of lightning in the wound, and it was cauterized. Sasuke changed his sword back into its stone form, and sheathed it on his back. That was tough. His Sharingan deactivated. Even 3-on-1 made it tough. Hinata stated, her breathing somewhat erratic, but not as much as Sasuke, who fell to the ground on his butt. Naruto landed in front of them, someone they didn't recognize next to him. Kakashi-sensei, don't worry too much about her. She's more like Sasuke than anyone else I know. Kakashi was wary of the girl as she walked up to Zabuza's body. No, he was right. He didn't stand much of a chance. She looked at the others. She found Sasuke, who had the telltale signs of an Uchiha in his features. He was exhausted. Hinata, who she saw next, wasn't as exhausted. Kakashi, she knew him instantly. She knew he was on guard, but low on chakra. She turned her attention back to the corpse. Naruto, please, let me give him a burial. She said, her voice broken. I will come with you, as I found kinship in you. She said, not bothering to look at him. Kakashi was about to attack, before Naruto got in front of him. Zabuza was more of a father to her than her own father, who tried to kill her. Sasuke heard these words clearly. You mean, she's like me, he said, earning a nod from Naruto. At least let her bury the only one to bother treating her like a father for something she was better off without. Almost like me, Naruto said. Kiri blood wars. That's my guess, Naruto said. It fits with what I know, and her clan was friends with the Uzumaki clan before it was seemingly eradicated. Kakashi nodded at that. Which one? Kori, Naruto told him. Then her addition to Konohagakure would be helpful. Why does she have a Kiri headband? He asked. She was posing as a hunter ninja from Kiri to help the one she saw as a father. Now that he's dead, she is willing to come with us. She also will need to find someone to be there for her when she needs it. I figure Sasuke and I can help more than anyone else, due to similar, if not identical, pasts. Naruto said. Tazuna, we should head to your place. Her name. Haku, she replied, over Zabuza's prone body. Take his head to a bounty station somewhere. He is dead. I will take his sword. The rest is to be buried. She handled the sword with ease. It will take time to adjust without him, but I'll manage somehow. Thank you, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto nodded. Kakashi-sensei, I'll go with her to bury him. The 3 of you take Tazuna to his place. Right now, she needs a shoulder to cry on, and Sasuke isn't in the shape for it, the way I see it. They all nodded, and the moment Kakashi took a step he collapsed. Naruto sighed, before making 3 shadow clones. Help them back. They nodded, as they knew arguing was useless. They picked up Kakashi, and hobbled with Sasuke. The last one was still around in case of something else. Naruto and Haku took Zabuza to a cliffside, where they buried him. Naruto was sending a silent prayer to the Shinigami, while Haku placed an ice rose on the grave. She was saying a prayer herself. They stayed there for a few hours, Haku crying throughout most of it. She was crying into Naruto's shoulder throughout most of it. It was well past dusk before she was finished, and she was asleep. Naruto picked her up and went into a dense area of the forest and made a campsite to hide them completely, and made a fire. After Haku was sound asleep, Naruto made a shadow clone and it dispelled immediately, before he went to sleep himself. Tazuna's place. Naruto tensed up. Hinata noticed. Hey, looks like she cried herself to sleep. Hinata looked at him, as did Sasuke and Tazuna. She did. Sasuke asked. Boss ain't surprised to be honest. Naruto stated. They're staying out in the forest, behind a triple-layer barrier held together with seals. I wouldn't worry about him. He'll be here tomorrow. At least, that's his plan. Where is he? Sasuke asked. I wouldn't bother looking for him. You'd need to know where the grave is, and from there, find the densest part of the forest. Boss ain't gonna like what Inari said at all. We didn't do anything for the simple fact that's his job. I could have easily told him off but. Oh, don't worry about that. Hinata stated. I've got an idea to put him through the ringer and not harm him physically. If that doesn't change his tune, then I don't know what will. You aren't going to use a genjutsu on him, Sasuke told her. When he says stuff like that, he actively insults Naruto, you and me. Not to mention Haku, Hinata told him. Someone has to let him know that he has it easy compared to most. For a civilian, he does have it bad. For a ninja, what he's been through is everyday life. A little boy, Inari, was behind the door. What the hell are you talking about? He asked, opening the door. The truth. And by the way, what I was going to do is not genjutsu. Not entirely. I signed with the Kitsune, so I have some of their jutsu in my arsenal. The moment their eyes met his, they found themselves in a light blue area, similar to what Naruto and Haku were in earlier. What is this place? Sasuke asked. Kitsune interrogation realm. There's a red one that is made for fighting, or holding someone back until a certain condition is met. I'm guessing that Naruto had Haku there, but they didn't fight. This one is made for showing images of certain lives. Memories, so to speak. I could show him mine, yours, or even Naruto's. I can't show him Haku's because I am not that familiar with her. Naruto and I can bring up 3 at the least. The last one that I can bring up is similar to the Tsukuyomi, and is a dark violet color. Now, Inari. You're going to watch what we've been through. Just don't cry to your mother when you see Naruto's. I'm showing you mine first, as it's the easiest to bear. She said, before showing her life. All the bad, up until Naruto helping her out. I started it when I was 3, and nearly kidnapped by Kumogakure. From there, my life to hell. I ended it a few months back, when Naruto started helping me out. Hinata stated. Is it possible to bring my memories in myself? Sasuke asked. Hinata nodded. I'm next, then. He showed the parts of his life that few would like. All the way up until his brother nearly killed him in his own home, and then left. The aftereffect, and what Naruto did to him to get him in a better position in his own life. You may have your parents, but mine are dead. Naruto's the only reason I can talk to my mother at all. Inari was on his knees and crying into them. Hinata saw him in the state he was in. How can you go through all that and not break down? Because we have a reason to move on. And if you think that was hell, you're sadly mistaken. Hinata said. I've been inside Naruto's mind myself. I've seen his memories in its entirety. The good and the bad. The good ones didn't start until recently, with only maybe 4 or 5 exceptions. Please, show me, Inari sniffled. If you can't take ours, then there's no way in life or death you could take his. Hinata said. Please, do it, I may cry myself out. But at least I'll understand. He said, still crying. Sasuke looked at her and she shrugged. Alright, but pay attention, and don't say I didn't warn you. She said before showing him the memories she saw from him. Sasuke was watching with his Sharingan active, knowing that he will want to remember it all. When it was done, Hinata herself was tearing up. Sasuke closed his eyes, threatening to cry himself. Inari was watching, through teary eyes. Now do you see? Hinata asked, her voice sad. Do you see why we don't agree with your, heroes don't exist, speech? It's because we've been there. We've done that, and we want to stop it ourselves by helping those who need it. That's why we're here, not because we were ordered to, but because we want to help. I had no idea. Sasuke said, earning their attention. I knew he had it bad, but to have it this bad. Hinata nodded. I had the same thought. Hinata said, I would have committed suicide by the age of 6 if I went through that. That's why he's even amazed at Biju, which are said to be ruthless cold-hearted killers. He went through all of that, and he doesn't even want to harm them. He wants to protect them. He doesn't fault them for what they did. I wouldn't be able to handle it myself. I almost lost myself to revenge, and he brought me out of it. Even with everything he's been through, I wouldn't be able to handle it, and on top of everything I already have to deal with. Going through what he did would make me commit suicide on the spot. Sasuke said, his voice sad, tears flowing freely. Inari ran into Hinata, and cried into her chest. She let the waterworks flow as well. The realm dissolved, putting them in the same room they were in, to a surprised Tazuna and Tsunami. What did she do to you all? Tazuna asked. Showed him, our lives. I'm like this, because she showed us Naruto's. I doubt the entire village here would compare to his pain, yet he still doesn't blame the people that put him in that state. Sasuke said, his voice still sad. Sasuke, Hinata and Inari cried themselves to sleep. Tsunami took Inari to his own bed, while Hinata and Sasuke both fell asleep themselves. The next morning, forest. Naruto and Haku woke up at the same time, and Naruto found memories that weren't there when he fell asleep. So that's where his house is. Haku looked at Naruto. Are we going to Tazuna's? I will gladly help you guard him. I've got a bone to pick with Gato myself. Yes, but tomorrow, you, Hinata, and I are going to go after Gato himself. We stop him, we give the village hope. That's all this town needs right now. Naruto told her. A reason to have hope. He got up and helped Haku up. I have Tazuna's place in my mind. What I do know is not pretty. Hinata and Sasuke cried themselves to sleep. The last time Hinata did that was when I told her a sugar-coated version on my life. She then went through my memories herself. She saw just how bad I had it. She knows me better than anyone else. My guess is, they showed Inari, a little boy, my life, and that's why he cried himself to sleep as well. Then we should get going. Haku replied, before Naruto took down the barriers, and jumped off as he did. They both landed on the pier of the place that Naruto found was Tazuna's. Here we are. They walked up to the front door, and knocked. Tsunami opened the door. You are Naruto? Tsunami asked. Yes, I take it you are Tazuna's daughter, Tsunami. Naruto asked, earning a surprised look from her. How did you know? I had 3 shadow clones here. They transfer memories when dispelled, so of course I'd know. I also know that Sasuke, Hinata, and I believe he is your son, Inari, cried themselves to sleep last night. The reasoning the clone heard from Sasuke, and apparently he did that after viewing my memories as Hinata saw them herself. That's what he said, alright. Tsunami stated. And you? Haku. I was with him last night. Haku replied. Okay, come on in. The others aren't awake yet. Just me, Tsunami said, opening up the door completely. They both walked in and helped cook breakfast. The others woke up one after another, only to find that Naruto and Haku were already there, and were cooking. Well, Naruto was cooking, and giving some advice to Haku. This, when Kakashi came in, was a surprise. Naruto, when did you learn to cook? When I was 4, I could cook. The reason I never did was because the village always kicked me out of the stores, or severely overpriced the most rotten items. Why do you think I had a garden on my roof at one point? Naruto asked, before pausing. Come to think of it, I'll need to clean that thing out. I haven't used it in a while, and I probably should. Oh, Kakashi replied. I probably should have helped him out somewhat. Curse you, self-pity. While he thought this, his face was calm as hell. They all ate, and then Naruto and Hinata went into the forest to train a bit. Sasuke was watching over Tazuna for the morning, while Haku stuck with the family. After lunch, Haku and Sasuke were training, which Naruto thought was a good idea, while Naruto guarded the family, and Hinata was with Tazuna. Forest the afternoon of the first day. Haku and Sasuke were in a clearing. Alright, Sasuke. I hear that you should have access to the ice element. Care to explain? Why? Because it's supposed to be a bloodline, and not that of the Uchiha clan. It only manifests in only the Uzumaki and Kori clans. My only question is, why do you have it? Naruto told you this, didn't he? Sasuke asked, earning a nod. And you can use the element. Yes, however he said you don't have water or wind as your primary elements. Wind is not easy for me, and water is downright suicide at the moment. My elements are fire and lightning, not water and wind. And Hyouten normally requires water and wind. This is why I'm confused. Haku admitted. That makes two of us. Sasuke paused. I have Sharingan, and normally it won't copy bloodlines, but if I can use an element that I see, do you think it would be possible to use that same element myself? I do not know, but if it is possible, then I'd have to use a full Hyouten jutsu and you'd have to copy it yourself to see for sure. Haku admitted. Would you mind if I did? She shook her head, and went through a few hand signs, while Sasuke activated his Sharingan the moment her head moved. Hyouten, Hirenmaru. There was a giant ice dragon forming in the air, and Sasuke saw just what needed for it. Try it out. Sasuke did just that, but only made 1/10 the size of Haku's. That was only a normal ice dragon. Not the Hirenmaru. Sorry, but it's the first time I've used ice in my life. Sasuke admitted, which caused surprise from Haku. Are you sure? Because that wouldn't be possible if it was. The Sharingan allows me to copy the opponent's jutsu, but it doesn't truly copy the experience with it. So while I may know how to perform, if I don't have the means, I can't. This means I can actually use Hyouten, as I wouldn't have been able to copy it, only understand it, if I did have the ability to use it myself. Well, for an ice dragon, that would seem somewhat pathetic, I'll admit. I'm sensing but, here. Sasuke said. For a first-timer using the ice element, that was far beyond proficient. Haku stated. Sasuke was pleased. Try this one. Haku went through the hand signs, and Sasuke repeated them. Needles flew towards trees, and made a smiley face on a few. Sasuke didn't make anything useful. In fact, his jutsu didn't even work. What happened? I don't know. Sasuke admitted, though quiet. Something's not here. I got an ice dragon down but. Wait, ice dragon? Don't tell me. Haku, I need to figure something out, and it would require a bit of space. Haku jumped into a tree. Sasuke went for his summoning jutsu. Summoning jutsu. The dragon that tested him appeared. What do you want, Uchiha? Didn't you get enough when you wrangled me last time? The dragon asked. The dragon have several elements, and something tells me that ice is among them. Am I right on that? I'm one of those ice dragons, you nitwit. Then are you the reason I can use some ice jutsu, being as an Uchiha, normally, cannot? Wait, you can use ice. You weren't aware. Don't tell me you can use lightning and fire as well. Yes, I can. And yes, I already have the blade that you're thinking of. What I want to know is, why can I use ice? Sasuke asked. I am wondering that as well, dragon. Haku said, as she jumped next to him. After all, I'll need to know this, if I am to help him with Hyouten. He could use an ice dragon jutsu, namely the Hirenmaru, only weaker, but he is, for some reason, unable to perform another Hyouten, a simpler one, without practice. In fact, he failed outright with that one, but managed a small ice dragon jutsu with the Hirenmaru. Then that means, Sasuke Uchiha, you have gained some of my abilities, as I am the one who recruited you. I am not sure how it is possible, but for now, once you get that Hirenmaru jutsu to full size, you should be able to learn other ice jutsu that he'd want you to learn. She's a woman, Sasuke said, glaring at the dragon. Really, cause he seriously looks like a guy. Not my fault. My features have yet to set in, and my vocal cords are still used to the male voice I used as a disguise, as per my adopted father's request. Give it some time, and I will be back to a female voice. Haku said, glaring at the dragon. Alright, sheesh. Look, if you want him to learn any of the other Hyouten jutsu, he should train with the higher level dragon jutsu first. That should help him out. Once he gets it to the correct level, then he should go down a level. As such, backtracking would be the case here. When going from the bottom up doesn't work, starting at the top and going down will. That's some good advice there, dragon. It's Hiroko. And thank you. After all, I am Hirenmaru's grandson. You're kidding me? Haku asked. Nope. I also know that he gave some human clan the Hyouten ability, some 500 years ago, or something. His brother, also an ice dragon, though part water dragon, went for a different human clan, that lived around whirlpools or something. I didn't get it myself, but they received blessings from several summoning clans. One of which the Yonbi came from. No matter what summoning clan you go to, they all say one had more favor than any other among us. The Uzumaki clan is a wonder. They were never arrogant, just highly stubborn. Well, that explains Naruto. He is an Uzumaki, after all. I am aware, Hiroko told her. For now, stick to getting the Hirenmaru jutsu perfect. Once that's done, then go for a lower level. I'm out. He left in a puff of smoke. Sasuke and Haku finally had a lead. They worked together for the rest of the afternoon. After dinner, Naruto and Haku left the house for a little run something. They jumped through the trees, being as silent as possible. Since they both knew Anbu hand signs, they used that to communicate. Are you sure about this? Haku asked. Positive. We need to deal with him before he hires another man. How are you sure he hasn't? People like him are too far corrupted. He will do anything to save his wallet. Then why hire more? To kill them off once weakened. It happens often. Too often. Haku agreed. Once the target is down, we take out the rest. Wait, Haku signaled, prompting Naruto to land on a branch. This is it, she whispered. Alright, give me a minute. Naruto said, pulling out a pair of glasses. One of the many reasons I love my father's ideas. Let me see. One eye only. One of Naruto's eyes went red, but had a circle for a pupil instead of the usual slit. Looks like he made a chakra locator. Would help in searching missions. It's flawed, because I have to put them on by hand. That's why you were going to put it on the armor. Bingo. Now to find Gato. Got it. 4th floor. He's out of it, Naruto whispered. How can you tell? His is the most corrupted. One other comes close, and seems to be right outside that same room, but in a hallway. The one in the room is Gato. Time to lay a few traps. Go for Gato. I'll set the traps among all the levels. Rendezvous at the grave, and bring the head. Naruto whispered, earning a nod. He signaled a go, and Haku jumped. Naruto, on the other hand, turned into a true shadow, and made it there himself, placing traps on the walls, starting from the bottom up. There was also a few shadow clones doing the same with the upper levels. Once a level was complete, a clone dispersed. One caught sight of Haku leaving, meaning she was done. It took another 10 minutes, but all clones were dispelled, and the true Naruto was at the grave. Time to light up a show, he said, holding up a sign. Then there was a large fireball coming from Gato's hideout. Haku whistled. That's one big fireball. I skipped most of the upper levels due to something I found highly interesting. Naruto said. I found he had some high-yield bombs, that were far more effective than my own Yuki bombs. The Yuki bomb is a seal I came up with myself. It has the power of about 200 standard paper bombs. I placed one on each one he had finished, and guess what? That fireball was more of his than mine. You know, I'm starting to see why Deidara loves explosions. They tend to light up the night. Somewhere in Wind Country. A blonde sneezed. Someone must be talking about me, because I don't get colds. Maybe someone is complimenting my art. You wish, a gruff voice from a hunchback beside him said. Tezuna's place. Sasuke, Hinata, and Kakashi were awake, though Kakashi was still on his back. They all saw the fireball and one thought. That has Naruto written all over it. Back with Naruto. Naruto sneezed. Someone must be talking about me. Jinchuriki don't get colds, for some reason. My fault for the cold thing. As for who's talking about you, there's no one. But someone, or rather 3 someones are thinking about you. More specifically, the fireball. Well, I'm no expert, but that was a work of art. I'm inclined to agree, Kit. If Deidara were around, he'd definitely be like this. Back in Wind Country. A blonde sneezed again. I'm still inclined to believe someone appreciates my art. Think what want, Deidara. The gruff hunchback retorted. Shut up, Sasori. The blonde, Deidara, replied. Back with Naruto. Kit, I just heard something long range. Mind if I send out a wind clone to the location? Hey, why not? Kyuubi sent Naruto's wind chakra as far out as possible. Wind Country, yet again. Deidara and Sasori were in the middle of the desert, Deidara saying that Sasori has no appreciation of his art. This was when a cloaked man appeared in front of them. Deidara of Iwa, I presume. I have no affiliation with him. Oh, then I must have the wrong guy. One of my subordinates just caused a massive explosion over in Wave Country, and figured that he would be a little envious. Thought I heard something long range from this vicinity about explosions being art, and figured he was here. Oh, well, in that case, then I'm sorry about deceiving you. Who did the explosion? Deidara, you fool. Relax, hunchback. I'm not here to capture him. Quick question. An explosion about 800 feet high, white-hot flames, and maybe 50 feet in radius. Where would that stand in your ratings? Did I miss an explosion that big? Deidara asked, completely surprised. Yes, and I was present for it too. Wind travel, with a wind clone. Where would you rate it? Hey, told you someone else thought my art was true art. Deidara shouted at the hunchback. Give me full details. The cloaked man gave the full set of details. Wow, that's just, wow, 6 stars. Thought you might like it. By the way, the one that did this is a Jinchuriki. Later, the man dissolved into wind. Wait, what? Now, I'm curious, let's call the others. Wait, he said this was a Jinchuriki, so it must have been the Rokubi, but he's already been captured, hasn't he? Deidara asked, posing silence as his answer. We must think on this. Call the others. We need to let them know. Random cave. Several holograms appeared. Deidara, Sasori, what is your report? We have some interesting news. Deidara was outstaged by a Jinchuriki in Wave Country in his specialty. The only one that seems to have been capable of it would be the Rokubi, but he's already been captured. Sasori stated. I saw that explosion from Lightning Country. Another one said, I am not sure which one, but I am about 2 days away from it. Shall I retrieve them? No, go and observe only. We have no reason to capture this one yet. The one that would seem to be the leader replied. Wait, Kakazu, I have shown you my C1 dragon, and its results. Which one is bigger, or flashier? The one in Wave. Bigger, no, about the same size. Maybe a little bigger. Flashier, definitely. The man replied. Oh, I so gotta meet this one. Deidara shouted, before dissolving. Wave Country. Naruto suddenly felt a shiver on his back. It seems word's gotten out about your little explosion. You call that little? Compared to some I've seen, yeah. Compared to most, hell no. Thank you, I take pride in my art. You call that ball of flames your art? No, my art is the art of. Naruto could feel Kyuubi at the edge of his seat. Pranks. The facefo in the head was a given. You so had that one coming. Oh shut up, Kyuubi replied, before cutting the link. Still, I wonder what Deidara would think of that one. A cloaked man, which Naruto instantly knew was his wind clone, appeared. From the description, he gave 6 stars. Sweet. And I sugar-coated the description. Even better. Naruto replied. Good job, man. Hey, I am you, after all. I know. Just dispel. I seriously need a break after that. Naruto said, earning a nod, and continuing towards Tazuna's place, where Hinata was waiting on the roof. Let me guess. You caused the explosion. Yeah, multiple sets of 30 Yuki bombs, along with some of Gato's high-yield bombs. I think the screen said Flare or something. Flaya, from Code Geass. Gato only had 2, but a third one was being built. They weren't finished, but they were primed, and ready to go. I only had them add to my explosion, giving off what you saw. You remember Deidara from Iwa in that bingo book we found? Yeah, why? Wind Clone gave a sugar-coated description, and he rated it 6 stars. And he's the pinnacle of explosions. And now you see that I'm honored to have caused such an explosion. Naruto told her. You would be. Hinata told him. And Gato. Haku took the head. I blasted everything else in the explosion. They never knew what hit them. Then Gato's dead. Why am I not surprised? Because you probably saw it coming. You're right, I did. Hinata said. That's probably not a good thing. Nah, it means you can predict where not to be when I'm in a pranking mood. Naruto told her. True. Now come on, let's to sleep. Word will get around that Gato is dead. With what I told Haku to do with his head, I'm thinking about spreading word of a new monument in the morning. Posters are being set up as we speak. The next day. There were flyers everywhere and they all said the same thing. Head to the execution grounds of a hero to see redemption. When the villagers did, they expected several things, but not what they saw. There was a head on a spike. The head still had hair on it. Below it was a plaque. Never underestimate a hero. You'll end up dead. At the hands of his ghost. Kaiza and his living representative. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. This had instilled courage in everyone, who roared in approval, while Naruto slept peacefully. Another day, more people helped out. That was a good run. In Wave Country a man in a mask and a black cloak with red clouds on was walking across the newly named Heroes Bridge. He looked around once he got to the side of Wave Country, only to find that the place seemed poor, but people were happy. Where is that damn Jinchuriki? He continued searching for the Yuki, but he was at a loss. He then came to a place in the forest with a minuet amount of Yuki, though very little. The Jinchuriki was here, 3, maybe 4 days ago. Possibly 5, but no more than 7. All other traces are already gone. Whoever it was. Wait, I'll check the area the explosion happened. He walked over to what seemed like a burned down place. Damn, Deidara would seriously have a field day if he saw this. This looks about 24 hours after the other location. No Yuki, though. He walked through the area. Faint. Very faint. The Jinchuriki is not here. Not anymore. I obviously just missed him. He went through a few hand signs. Random cave. Leader, I have my report from Wave Country. Kakuzu stated. You were supposed to watch the Jinchuriki. The man said. The Jinchuriki has already left Wave Country. But you might want to send Deidara here for a second. I'm at the wreckage of whatever exploded. The flames are still around, and the ground is highly charred. It looks to have been done maybe yesterday, but with the explosion I saw, and the possibility of no one changing things around here, I'd say the possibility of it being a few days old would be possible. Have you determined which one it was, at the least? Closest guess would be Hachibi or Nibi. Kyuubi is also possible, but not likely. There is no way they'd be able to hide that much Yuki after only 2 days. Then we have lost the signal. I will send Deidara to your location. He will survey the carnage himself, and let me know. The man said calmly. Understood. Konohagakure, 1 day later. Naruto, Sasuke, and Hinata, along with Kakashi and Haku were coming up on the east gate. Halt. State your business. Team 7 returning from a mission to Wave, with a possible new addition to the village. Kakashi told them. Very well. And the new addition? Haku. Surname. Unimportant at this point in time, as I am having trouble choosing between adopted father or clan name. Haku told them. Excuse me, one of the guards asked. I am not sure if I should give the clan name, which is dead, or the surname of my adopted father, who actually treated me like a daughter, unlike my real father, who tried to kill me. Haku told them. Ah. Just give them the clan name. Sasuke told her, earning a surprised look from her. What? They want a name, give them what they want. It's better that way, sometimes. The guards looked at Sasuke, the last Uchiha, who was talking like he was close to the girl. Alright, but only for you. The clan name is Kori, but I have been going by Momochi for the past 6 or 7 years. Haku told them. Momochi. Yes, Haku stated. I would not be going by either of them, though. Especially after something that Sasuke and I had agreed on earlier, should I be accepted into the village. Wait a minute, Naruto shouted. You aren't seriously thinking about. We already have it done, Uzumaki. Sasuke said, with a grin. All we'd need are the papers to make it official, and we're good. Naruto sighed. The guards looked at each other. The confusion they had was apparent. Alright, but you have to go to the Hokage. Thank you, sirs, Haku said, bowing her head. Sasuke, Haku, Kakashi stated. You two are coming with me for the report, as we will need everything said, along with this new development. 3 days in the making, Kakashi-sensei. We have completely showed each other our memories, and we're good with it. Sasuke told him. Well, let's get going then. Kakashi, Sasuke, and Haku left in a shunshin. Naruto and Hinata shrugged. Naruto then looked at the guards. Do you know if anyone from Takigakure, or Tsunade of the Sannin are here at the moment? Yes, someone from Takigakure is here, as of this morning. Why? Thanks, that's all I needed to know. Naruto said, before jumping off. He really needs to learn restraint. Hinata stated, shaking her head. Well, that's why I like him, I suppose. She jumped off after him. Naruto was jumping around the rooftops, looking for any sign of the waterfall guest. He stopped in front of Ichiraku's after sensing a familiar chakra. It couldn't be. He jumped down, and went inside. Tyuki, Ayame. Naruto greeted happily. Naruto. Welcome back. Ayame greeted. The usual. You know it, Naruto shouted with a smile. So, this is your favorite hangout? The person beside him asked. That it is, he replied, not even looking at her. You're not even surprised that I'm talking to you here? The girl asked. Why should I be? After all, this is the only place that wouldn't hold something that's not under your control against you. Naruto told her, still not looking at her. Well, the people around here don't know me. No surprise there. But if they see you around me, they might think I did something to your mind, or something. Things get blown so much out of proportion around here, it's not even funny. So, I'd be careful if I were you, Fu. Naruto said, earning shock from Ayame and Tyuki. Naruto. You actually know her? Ayame asked. Of course I know her. She's more like me than anyone else in the village. Naruto stated. You mean? Tyuki's eyes widened. Yeah, she is. Well then, it's obvious that Naruto would trust you. Being so much like him. Tyuki told her. No surprise there. I kind of asked for a mission to come here just to meet with him. My village leader was surprised at the request, but then again, he's heard of weirder things. The girl, now known as Fu, said. Yeah, so why did you ask to come here? Naruto asked. I'm curious. Well, I'm here to help with relations between the two villages. The council would normally be surprised at the request, but they were actually for it when I actually started to talk about what I was planning. Fu told him. They were shocked when I told them, but even more so that you would have accepted, something I figure you'd do. Why don't we talk about this later? Have you met with the Hokage yet? Yes, and he is already in the know. He did say he wanted to see you when you got here. Fu said, before Sasuke came in. Naruto, the Hokage wanted to see you. He told him. Something about a girl wanting to meet up with you. Naruto looked at him, right before an Anbu appeared. I swear, it's hard enough to keep track of one Jinchuriki. The Anbu said, before noticing that both were there. Oh, so you've already met. The Hokage would like to see you both. Naruto and Fu both nodded, and finished what was in front of them, before getting up. Thanks for the meal, old man. Anytime, Naruto. And I hope you come back, Fu. Chuki replied. With food this good in a place that wouldn't care about my burden, why wouldn't I? Fu asked, before phasing out. Naruto grinned, before leaving in a fire teleport. Wait, he didn't pay, Chuki yelled. Yeah he did, Sasuke said, pointing to the money. Don't ask me how he pays so quickly, and without others noticing, because I still have no clue. He looked at the Anbu, who merely shrugged. Figures. I seriously have to find out how the hell he does that. Hokage's office. Naruto and Fu entered the room at the same time. Ah, it seems you've both already found each other. Sarutobi stated. How could I forget her chakra signature? Naruto asked. I went looking for unfamiliar chakra signals, but I found hers as I passed Ichiraku's, and we talked a bit. Sasuke came in, followed closely by an Anbu. Came here when the Anbu told us you wanted to see us. Did you manage to hear the little plan she came up with before they got to you? Sarutobi asked. Kind of hard not to, when I helped come up with it. Is it still the same, or did they alter it? Dead center same, Fu told him. Then I already know the full situation, and the reasoning behind each action. Naruto said, surprising Sarutobi. Quick question, how did they react? I caught some shock, one with awe, others had, WTF. Expressions, and then there was one that had a, HFS. Expression on her face. And to think the awe was from the leader, Shibuki, and the HFS face was an elder. Fu laughed. Please tell me you got pictures. Naruto stated. In triplicate. Fu told them, handing a set to Naruto, and one to Sarutobi. Sarutobi, that set was originally for Sasuke, so don't ruin them. Naruto went through his set, and he held back his laughter until he finished. Gigi. Seals, please. Sarutobi complied, and then finished with his set. They both cracked up laughing. Fu smirked at that. I take it they are to your liking. Fu asked. They both nodded. Hinata is going to love these. Well, one set was for blackmail, another was for the two of you, since you live together, and the last set was for Sasuke, just so he could get a few laughs in. She told Naruto. No kidding, Sarutobi stated, before handing the set back to her. Chuckles still in his mind. Alright, here's another question. Naruto said. How many of the backups did you have to use? Only had to use the first one. I didn't have to go for the other 5. Fu told him. Wow, the whole Jinchuriki being gone giving them less danger matter worked wonders, did it? Naruto asked. Talk about playing on their ignorance. That was kind of the point, remember? Fu asked. Yeah, I remember. Naruto said, earning surprise from Sarutobi. Wait a minute. The first idea was to use their own ideals against them. Jinchuriki are feared, and because of that fear, hatred can be born. Get rid of the source of the fear, misplaced or not, the hatred can diminish and then even leave. Naruto told him. The second one was actually a ploy on their minds, but I left that part to her. Fu nodded. The third reasoning I could have given is the fact whole Akatsuki idea, though I probably wouldn't have gone that far. The fourth idea was actually Hinata's idea. Scare a few of them by releasing a bit of her Biju's chakra. Naruto stated. After all, the Biju are known to cause fear to the masses. The fifth idea was using a type of heat-induced illusion, and yes, I can do that. Fu continued. The final idea was a last resort, though only a bluff. It was to threaten to release the Biju, but we all know that's not happening. Naruto stated. If they didn't let her come by then, that would get her out of the village like nothing else. And you didn't go past the first one? Sarutobi asked. I must say, I am a little impressed, but the sixth one was a bit too far, if you ask me. And that's why it was a last resort. Naruto stated. You thought that out quite a bit. Sarutobi stated. How did you come up with them? Simple psychology, reverse psychology, along with mental and emotional warfare. Fu said. And don't forget, you have the Konoha's prank demon here. Now that is a title that I can actually respect. Naruto said. By the way, are the others in the area, as well? Fu asked. Namely, Hinata. She's somewhere around the village. Naruto said, before closing his eyes. Hey, she went to my place already. It's too bad you can't get in there right now. Since you let me know about it, I took the liberty of getting a small blood sample. Sarutobi stated. Wait, you said that was to allow me into the village. Fu said, shocked. I already knew why you were here, so I asked for it. This way he only had to make the adjustment to allow you in there. Sarutobi stated. How much did you get? Naruto asked. 2 pints. I only need 1 pint, but you didn't know that much. Naruto told him. Alright then, now that I know, at least I know just how much it was needed. The other pint will go to the hospital for records. Sarutobi told him. Naruto took 1 pint, and left via fire teleport. 5 minutes later, he appeared in the office again. Fu, it's ready. Let's get going. She nodded, and they both left the room through the window. Those two are going to be a pain in the ass later on. I just know it, Sarutobi mused. Uchiha Estate. Sasuke was talking with his mother, Haku right beside him, wearing a pair of ghost glasses and an amulet of Ghostspeak herself. So, this is who you chose, huh? Makoto asked. Doesn't seem like much, if you ask me. You have got to be kidding me. Sasuke said. You're right, I am. Makoto replied with a smile. She's actually a lot more powerful than she looks, and that much I can tell. It also seems as if you have a bloodline yourself. You're right, and it has already been proven to have multiple bloodlines, so I'm not worried. Haku told her. Another chakra-based bloodline would cancel mine out, but not a dujutsu, which he has. Aside from that, I can use Hyouten. So can she. That's not right. Your father and I could never use Hyouten. You don't have the bloodline for it. I do, and we found out why he can use it, without the bloodline, or the elements I use for it, wind and water. Wind is close to impossible for me. Sasuke stated. I have fire and lightning naturally. Then there's ice from when I was allowed to sign with the dragons. Oh no. The old prophecy of the dragons. It talks about you. Sasuke pulls out the stone blade. You mean the one regarding this? Sasuke applied chakra to it, revealing the blade. To use it, one must sign with the dragons, and have 3 affinities, fire, ice and lightning. I also gained the eternal Mangekyo when I could use it. I skipped over the original Mangekyo, which Itachi has. He's still not aware of my being able to use it. Well then, we better get started. Would you like to watch, Haku? Makoto asked. I don't see why not. I'd have to learn the ways of the Uchiha myself sooner or later. Not the old ways. We're basing the new Uchiha clan on someone else's ideals. Naruto's ideals. No arrogance, and no ignorance. The new Uchiha clan will not think it is the best, just because of our bloodline. That was the downfall of the old Uchiha clan. We're not going to go for the old ways, but forge a new path. You've grown, Sasuke. Makoto said. Those are the ideals I wanted you to inherit, not your father's, which are being too prideful, and thinking he's better than anyone else. That was his mistake. I don't intend on making the same mistake he did. Sasuke told her. If I do, I'd rather gouge my own eyes out. If there's one thing that I want more than a new age for the Uchiha clan, it's that I help Naruto with his whole Madara problem. If nothing else, he deserves the help, and a few friends. He's been put through hell, and stayed sane throughout it all. Not even an Uchiha can do that and not go insane. Makoto nodded. Alright, time to train your Sharingan in its eternal form. He still needs to finish working with his Hyouten, but I think that can wait until tomorrow. Haku told her. I realize that, and we're only doing this once a week. Makoto told her. Haku nodded and ended up watching as Sasuke dodged everything and even took out the drones that appeared. Uzumaki Estate. Naruto, Hinata and Fu were sitting in the field. So, you're finally here, huh? Hinata asked. Yeah, and, surprisingly, it's to stay. I didn't tell the Hokage that it's to stay here, but it is, and I think he already figured it out. They don't want me back, and that's a good thing. For us, at least. Fu told them. Nice. Naruto replied with a smile. You going to join the shinobi force? No, I don't plan on it. Fu admitted. I'm going to stay a civilian, and the Hokage would know about this when the records I have are sent. That is, if they were going to send it. You mean they wouldn't send it? Hinata asked, surprised. Do you really think they can when it's in the possession of Kabutomushi clan? Fu raised an eyebrow. Point taken. Come on, I'll show you around the place. Hinata told her, before they walked in the cave behind the waterfall. Naruto took that moment to continue working on the armor. It has become his biggest project so far, and he even built a forge in the area, with a copy of the Amaterasu flames to power it. Since they had the next day off, Naruto had 30 clones work on the armor pieces, another 20 to work with water manipulation, while he, Hinata and Fu walked around town. They ended up in front of the academy, with Iruka exiting the front door. Naruto, I was about to go looking for you. I heard you got back to the village yesterday from AC rank. I wanted to talk to you about it, maybe over ramen. Nah, no ramen for now. Naruto replied, before pausing. Oh yeah, Iruka-sensei, meet Fu. Fu, this is one of the few that didn't exactly hate me once he got to know me. He's kind of like a brother to me. Fu looked at him. Hey, he's a good one. Pardon, Iruka asked. Don't worry too much about it. Fu told him. Anyway, we were just walking around. Nothing really to do right now. Well, Naruto could be training. Doing that back at the house. I still have to unlock it. Aside from that, I've been working on one project recently, and it's one I came up with by combining multiple projects together. Naruto told him. So yeah, nothing really to do. Come to think of it. What are you thinking? Hinata asked, not sure she wants to hear the answer. Naruto was silent for a bit, building up suspense. Then his face turned into a grin, which Hinata noticed immediately. Okay, what are you planning? Naruto looked at her. Nothing that big, just something that came to me. Be back in a few. Naruto left in flames. Fire clone? Hinata asked. No, that wasn't a fire clone. Naruto, what the hell are you thinking? Hinata, he's blocking it from even me. Something that I don't think is good for either of us. I'll keep you posted as needed. Thanks Kyuubi. I just hope he doesn't get himself hurt. Oh shit, the Forest of Death. Iruka-sensei, what's the Forest of Death? Why do you ask? I think that's where Naruto's at. Hinata replied. Yeah, that's where he's at, and there's someone else here. Damn, it's the crazy snake bitch. Okay, what? The crazy snake bitch is also known as Anko Mitarashi. An outcast, to be precise. And he's talking to her. Wait a minute, she's actually being friendly with him. Why didn't he tell me about her? Well, wait, it's more like his relationship with Iruka, from what I can see. Sibling, not girlfriend. Hinata glanced at Iruka. Sensei, are you familiar with Anko Mitarashi? Vaguely. Iruka admitted. She's been known to seduce anyone just to get in their pants. I haven't met her myself, but being with Naruto has shown me that I shouldn't judge people based on others' opinions. If I did, Naruto wouldn't be like a brother to me. Why? He's talking with her. How do you know this? Fu asked. Mr. Nine is giving me a bit of a play-by-play. It seems like their relationship is more like siblings, according to him. Hinata told them. She just kissed his forehead. Forget sibling. More like mother. Hinata's sweat dropped, before coming up to the south side of the forest. Kyuubi, where in the forest are you? Southeast corner. Approximately 2 kilometers away from your position, 20. We're on our way. It took a few minutes, but Iruka, Fu, and Hinata landed in the clearing. Naruto, why did you come in here? It's dangerous. Iruka-sensei. Naruto asked, surprised. I was just meeting with Anko. I remembered that I hadn't seen her since before that Inuzuka prank I played before all this strange shit kept coming up, so I thought I could fill her in. Naruto. You know her? Yeah, he's like a little brother to me. One I wish I had, but at the same time, I never could. Anko told them, eyeing Fu suspiciously. Who are you? My name is Fu, and I'm more like Naruto than you, I'd wager. She told her. Unless you were a Jinchuriki, you wouldn't be. Anko told her, before her eyes widened. No, you mean. Yeah, I was about to get to the meeting, guys. What meeting? Iruka asked. Summons meeting, Hinata asked, earning a nod. Wait, you already got a summon, Gaki? Anko asked. I've got 3. Toad, Phoenix, and Kitsune. Naruto told her. Sweet huh. I'll say, you got really lucky with that. The snakes don't get along with anyone else. Enko crossed her arms. I'd really want to get rid of them, but my fighting style revolves around them. Now, can we get back to the little story of yours? Naruto chuckled, before continuing. It was a while later that Naruto paused for a bit. He had just gotten to the beginning of the wave mission. What, is that all you've done in all this time? Enko asked. No, it's not. It's just. Naruto didn't finish his statement before throwing a kunai into the brush. This sent everyone on their guard. You finally going to come out? Or are you going to keep hiding? Naruto asked, seemingly completely calm. Kurenai appeared, his kunai in her hand. Is this how you greet visitors? No, it's how I flush out an eavesdropper that do a poor job at hiding themselves. Naruto told her. Poor? She asked. And just how was that poor? Because I know you've been there since Hinata entered the forest. You knew? Hinata asked. Of course I knew. Why wouldn't I know where my fiancé is? Naruto asked. Oh. Hinata didn't look down. Fiancé, huh? Why didn't you tell me about this, Hinata? She asked. Kurenai, I didn't say anything because of all the weird things going on. I've been a little too busy lately. Hinata told her, earning a raised brow. And what exactly have you been doing? Surely he hasn't been taking advantage of you. 'Cause if he has. If you touch him, I will hurt you. Hinata told Kurenai, her tone cold. Kurenai was surprised. When did you get so much confidence? From him. He's done nothing but help, and I've been trying to find a way to pay him back for it. He's had the perfect chance to get. You know. But he always refused that act. Boys are merely perverts. Kurenai scoffed. Why do you think I created the sexy jutsu in the first place? Naruto asked. Too many perverts in the area. I use their interests against them with it. There is no man in the village that I have used it on, or its second level, and stayed conscious. If they're up from the second level, I go to the third level, but that was only once. Come to think of it, I wonder if that guy is still in the hospital. The hospital? For blood loss, probably. Enko stated. Nope. From what I could tell, a few second-degree burns, with several first-degree burns, a ruptured left eardrum, a few broken bones from the fall afterwards. And then slight blood loss, but that was minor compared to everything else. Naruto said. I was about to go into my last mission, so you know. Was Hinata there? Yeah, I know why you're asking. Hinata told her. Come on over, we've got two side stories for it. Naruto went into the mission details, but when he got to Zabuza's appearance he stopped. Okay, this is where things get a little different. I left the team for a bit, to keep someone else away from the area. She wasn't good enough to hide from my senses, but she was able to hide from Kakashi-sensei. What, you mean to tell me you can pick up Kakashi when he's nearby? Actually, I can find Anbu with relative ease. Elite Anbu at that. He, however, was focused on Zabuza. I left the others to hold off Zabuza, more likely to take him out, and keep her from interfering. I had her trapped in an area where neither of us could leave until the fight between Zabuza, or the rest of my team was dead. It was a gamble, but I knew they could handle it. Hinata, you went up against Zabuza Momochi and lived. I had Sasuke and Kakashi-sensei with me. It was a group effort, and I mainly played defense for the client. Hinata admitted. The only thing I really did to him myself was a little kitsune illusion that slowed his reaction time. Even then, Sasuke was tired, Kakashi-sensei was a little tired as well, but not as much as Sasuke. Tell me how they did it. I'm curious. Hinata recounted her tale. Kurenai was surprised as hell by the time they finished. You mean Kakashi's been focusing on the Uchiha? Actually, he's been teaching all of us. Hinata replied. But even then there's not much he can teach us other than ninjutsu, as taijutsu was taken for all of us, and we're all learning genjutsu or something similar from someone else. Something similar to genjutsu? Enko asked. Yeah, the kitsune illusions are similar to genjutsu, and only Hinata and I can learn them. Secret of the kitsune summons, so don't ask. Also, they're made so no one can copy them without full contact with a kitsune that you are on good terms with. Even then, they have to teach you. Naruto told her. Sorry Nai-chan, Enko said, apologetically. Looks like you wouldn't be able to learn them. Who are your usual kitsune summons? Kurenai asked. Mine is Katuno. I've been learning from him. Hinata said, earning a nod. Mine was once a summon, but is not considered one. Kind of helps when he's sealed in you, you know. Naruto admitted. Wait, you mean? Yeah, he's been helping me out. It's too bad my curse won't go away. Enko mused, though Naruto heard it. If I may ask, why haven't you asked me for help regarding that curse on your neck? Naruto asked, earning surprise from Anko. You think you could do something about it? Anko sounded hopeful. If I had time to analyze it, I don't see why not. Naruto admitted. Unfortunately, it would take a bit before I could come up with a solution. I see. Think you can start now? Anko asked. If I can get rid of it, the sooner the better. She moved her collar to show it. Naruto had one look but then got interrupted. Naruto, get in here. Now. Kyuubi was stern and commanding in the voice, shocking Naruto a bit. What's so important that you have to interrupt this? A solution that works on seals twice as hard as that one to crack. No doubt that it will get rid of it, or at the very least, purify it. Naruto looked at Anko, and the others. Kurenai looked hopeful. She must be friends with Anko. Naruto walked to a nearby tree, and started to meditate. Hinata knew what the action meant. What's going on? Anko asked. Why isn't he studying it? I think one look had the Kyuubi get an idea. Hinata replied. And the idea itself is being explained in his mindscape. Good thing I already know how to go in there. Hinata sat next to him, opened up a mental link, and started to meditate. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto looked at the fox behind the bars. Are you sure it will work? Listen, I'm waiting for the purification myself. Half the corruption in me is in that mark, not to mention it's less dense, meaning it's easier to get rid of. Hinata was listening as she walked through the sewers. She came up to the two at this point. I figured you had an idea, Lord Kyuubi. So, you came as well. I don't think he'll need to do anything else, but he's still a bit to go for water manipulation before he can execute this one. Wait a minute, his bloodline can get rid of it? Hinata asked. Either that, or purify it completely. Either one will work, as it will not only destroy the corruption, but also any mental influence by the one that placed it in the first place. It will also prevent whoever placed it to use it. And that's why it would work. Naruto asked. That's the only thing I can think of, but I have the full facts of it already. It's already sealed up, so we have some time. But if the bastard to place it comes by, he or she can still activate it. I see. Hinata and Naruto said, simultaneously. Thanks for the idea. This is a good one, if not for the fact that I can't use it yet. You are close, aren't you? Yes, he's actually almost there. Finish off that A-rank water jutsu, and you'd be good. Got it, Naruto replied. You might want to head out there, and let them know about it. Naruto left before he could finish. Hinata shook her head. Sorry about that. He does it all the time. I'm not worried. Hinata shrugged and left herself. Clearing. Naruto and Hinata opened their eyes. Okay, I've got good news and bad news. Naruto said. What's the good news? Anko asked. I can at least purify it, if not get rid of it with what came up. Naruto said. And the bad news? Kurenai asked. I can't pull off the plan yet. Keyword, yet. I will be able to once my bloodline activates, but that's about it. Naruto told them. Anko and Kurenai looked at each other. How long? I can't say for sure, but now I have another reason to unlock it as soon as possible. I can't let Anko suffer from that thing. Sure, it's sealed right now, but that's not enough, especially if he comes here. He could still activate it. Naruto told them. Well, since the one that placed it is a rogue, he wouldn't come here. Which one? Orochimaru. Anko said, distaste in her mouth. Naruto, however, had his blood run cold, and dropped his head, his eyes shadowed. What's wrong? Hinata used the still open link. Oh no. What is going on here, Hinata? Kurenai asked, though sternly. He's pissed. Anko's eyes